Oh, boy.
Just want to be on the safe side. We could be live, but I had the feed up
All right.
and
Yep.
ready to go, and it's still showing me a countdown.
Folks, I do apologize. We have had some technical difficulties to start off our night here at Texas Motor Speedway. I do apologize. Let's go ahead and start over fresh here, Rick, as, well, apparently things did not go according to plan here up here in the booth to start off our night. So, let's start this all over again. Folks, welcome to Championship Night here at Texas Motor Speedway for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha IR-18 Series, brought to you by ecency.com. I want to thank you all for tuning in and joining us here tonight. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight alongside me, Rick Ravon, the winner of the Indianapolis 500 race that we saw last week here on Team Goon Squad. Drivers are currently making their qualifying run here. Rick, I know that I already asked you this, and we already kind of discussed this to a blank audience here, and hopefully now that we are officially live now, after checking myself there a little bit, I was, well, to be honest, I was making sure everything was ready here in the booth, and I probably should have gave myself a little bit more time, but anywho, anyhow, that is besides the point here. Rick, why don't you go through and walk us through our night here? And folks, for you watching at home, if Rick does sound a little bit quiet, please let me know. We are still working out some things here up here in the booth.
Yeah, I'm practically eating the microphone so that everybody can hear me. I know that you mentioned the Indianapolis 500 that was run last week, and like I said earlier, just a few minutes ago, I want to point out that may have been the greatest victory of my entire sim racing career. Thank you for asking, because that was, I mean, to come out on top of the likes of a Butch Davis and a Chad Simpson, you know, two of the best drivers in this series. Just the way everything played out. I mean, I could easily retire and walk away from this 25 years of sim racing and never look back and say, okay, I've done it all. You know, I'm satisfied. But also, like I said earlier, tonight I think you're going to see the top three in the points: Nate Siefker, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, not necessarily in that order, but you're going to see those three guys at the front of the field. Chad maybe doesn't want it quite as bad as Butch, but I know Nate. I know his competitive nature, and Nate wants it really bad. So does Butch. Expect to see those two at the front of the field probably most of the day, but you've got some really quick guys behind. Paul Crumride, Jeff Bogan, Hollingsworth, Swearingen, these and a bunch of other guys that are going to give them some trouble. But I spoke to both of them before the race. I can't remember ever hearing the level of enthusiasm and determination in a sim racer that I heard out of Butch Davis and Nate Siefker. This is going to be wild.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to agree with you there. We mentioned it, again, off air because silly old me didn't hit the old start streaming button. Apparently I overlooked that somehow. Anyhow, we were talking about the championship standings as they currently are. Let's go ahead and run through that here real quickly. We're going to go through the top three. Butch Davis sitting at the very tippy top of the championship right now with 403 points. Chad Simpson, his teammate with FBR Motorsports, sitting in second with 396 points. And Nate Siefker rounding out the field, taking third place with 379 points. And Nate Siefker, you know, after deciding, well, frankly, I can't really blame him, you know, wanting to go to the actual Indianapolis 500 and attend that. I mean, who wouldn't want to be there for that? That's an incredible race to be at. Again, as it's said throughout the years, it is the I already forgot it.
Oh,
Rick.
Who's that just hit the wall?
That is Yari Brupatcher.
Brupatcher. I should know, with those beautiful yellow rims. Incidentally, we were expecting, I think his name is Wesley. Were we expecting somebody, Wesley, in the booth with us tonight? He said he was really looking forward to calling this championship race with us.
I'm not sure if Wesley is going to be joining us here tonight for commentary.
No, you got to be kidding me. Come on.
I don't know if he's going to be available for commentary.
He said he
tonight.
was. I've been looking forward to this all week. Oh, what a letdown.
Well,
Just talking about taking the air out of my balloon.
Well, I know Wesley was really looking forward to this race. I know he mentioned it to me a couple times that he was really hyped up about it. He saw how tight the championship was, and he was very enthusiastic about it. So it was really great to have Wesley Outland. Again, thank you, Wesley, if you're tuning in and watching us here, as drivers are getting their warm-up session in here before we get ourselves ready and onto the starting grid here. But again, yeah, just a big, massive thank you to Wesley Outland for joining us for the Indianapolis 500 here for the third running of it here with Sim Racer's Edge. Massive thank you.
Let's go ahead and point out that car 77 got the pole. Chris Simard, 43. Butch Davis will be on the outside of row number 1, and they are separated by, it looks like, 0.003 of a second. So Butch Davis, a star qualifier anywhere he goes, for Chris Simard to upset him, that's pretty big. So congratulations to Chris Simard, rather. Bentley Glazier is going to start on the inside of row 2, and then Chad Simpson, Butch's teammate. So the teammates will be on the outside. Could they work together on the outside at the start of the race? We'll have to wait and see.
This is championship night, folks. This is where as a driver, you're going to be given it all that you have in this race. This is where everything counts. I mean, frankly, Rick, this whole season has been a massive buildup all the way up until this point. I mean, we've had the teammates, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson. I mean, they've been in a very, very tight, you could almost say battle for first and second place in that championship. Nate Siefker as well has been a major contender in this season thus far and has shown that, frankly, he is a force to be reckoned with here in the SRE IR-18 series. Now, right now, I didn't exactly catch where he placed himself in qualifying before the checkered flag flew, but I would have to imagine after kind of taking that off week for the Indy 500 race here with SRE, coming here for championship night, I mean, Nate Siefker, it's either win it or lose it for him.
Well, I'm looking at the point standings right now, and right now Butch Davis, after Indianapolis, sits at the top. He's got a 7-point lead over his teammate Chad Simpson. After the 2 drop weeks were counted, incidentally, Nate Siefker is 24 points behind Butch Davis. Now, if you'll remember, this season has been Chapter 1, Butch Davis. Chapter 2, Nate Siefker. And here, with 1 race to go, just 1 race previous, Butch was able to take over the lead once again, and now he has I would say a pretty big lead at 24 points. I have to find the points, what do you call it, the point schedule, the points, whatever it is, to see the layout of how many points you get for the win and second and all the way down. So during the race, perhaps we can keep track of who's got the championship as they run. I'm going to see if I can find that right now.
Well. And, Rick, I think that your wish has been granted as we have a very, very, very special guest joining us up here in the booth with us.
Wesley Outland, ladies and gentlemen!
Wesley Outland, let's give a round of applause. Welcome, Wesley. I know that you're currently away from the microphone, it would seem like at the moment. But, Wesley, welcome to the booth, and welcome to championship night here with SRE.
I'm excited. Thank you guys for inviting me. I apologize that I'm late. Somebody give me a tardy slip like being late for school. I had some other broadcast obligations that I had to do this afternoon that literally popped up on me yesterday with the radio network that I have. We've unveiled a brand new high school football coach, and we had to do a press conference and do an official radio interview, and I had to take care of that. I literally just ran through the front door, cut on my computer in the studio, and I see you guys are warming up, and I'm glad I haven't missed a lap of the action. Rick, you got your wish? Congratulations, by the way, winning in Indianapolis last week. I see you now join, was it Nick Shriver as well as Butch Davis as former winners, and I think you've won this race in Indianapolis 3 times yourself. But, man, now that Indy's out of the way, we got a championship to decide. 3 drivers separated by less than 24 points to decide tonight's championship at Texas.
I'm looking at the points right now. I have to go back to race number 1, Wesley. And by the way, you are absolutely right. I am just stoked after winning the Indianapolis. Like I told Mason, I don't know if you were maybe listening in the car on the way home or what you were doing, but if you heard me say I could retire now and just retire happy and never look back and just be satisfied with what I was able to accomplish. I'll be 53 this year, and what else is there for me to prove? But it was great last week, and I'm happy to be here for this championship race. I can't wait for it. It's great to have you in the booth here tonight. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. I'm looking at the points from the first race of the season, Daytona. Butch Davis won at 39 points to win. Now he has a 24-point lead on Nate Siefker. So let's back this up all the way down to let's see, 39, 29, 20, let's see, 15. 16th place pays 15 points. So if you really want to get down to it, if Nate Siefker wins the race here tonight, it looks like Butch will still be able to finish in the top 15 and win the championship. Of course, you have bonus points involved there too, which is very hard to keep track of. But we'll keep you abreast of what's going on during the race and do the best we can to keep up with all of this, with the points. We'll do the best we can. Here we go. Looks like we're lining up.
Absolutely. We have our starting grid here and ready for us. Apologies, folks, if you heard the audio disappear for a moment. It looks like now I have finally figured out why in the world I couldn't hear Rick Rava the way that I wanted to be able to hear him.
Tell me why.
Oh, this little old cable with my headphones is just a little finicky. It's got to be plugged in just the right way. Otherwise, sometimes the audio won't come through all the way. It's really annoying. Anyway, let's go ahead and get through our starting grid here. I'll run out the top 10 here, Rick, if you want to go through the rest of the field. Let's start off with first place spot, Chris Samard, the number 77, taking first place here. Butch Davis starting off in second place, currently sitting at the very tippy top of the championship. He's going to be in a very good position for the start of this race here in that number 43 machine for FBR Motorsports. Sitting in third place is Bentley Glazer in the number 4 car. Chad Simpson, the 42 machine, going to be in fourth place here, rounding out the second row. Dan Brazington, the 29 machine with FBR Motorsports as well, taking fifth place. Mike Grandy Sr. in the number 12 machine, going to be in sixth place here today. Nate Siefker in seventh. Chris Walker in eighth place. Jeffrey Rowlett in ninth. Paul Crumry going to be in 12th place, or 10th place here, excuse me. And Rick, why don't you round out the field here for us? All right, so Jack Turner is going to be in 11th. Jeffrey Boggin in 12th. We're going on down the field here is 13th, and Jose Phillips in 13th. Timmy Bates in 14th. Jeff Hollingsworth in 15th. Jake Walsh in 16th. Hello, Rick.
Hi, I'm back. Are you still having problems?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but we're just going to keep rolling on with it here.
Well, son of a gun.
Well, why don't you take us on down through, looks like 17th here.
Okay, I'll do it if you can hear me. All right. Hang on, I was just checking the feed. Yeah, this is good. Hold on, let me just pause it there so I can hear. Okay, so you said 17th. Lyle Swearingen, Ryan Cruz, Yari Brupatcher, Ernie Ludwig, Mark McFadden, William Fletcher, Carl Burks 23rd, and Kevin O'Brien is 24th. Do we have any more? It looks like that's it. The green flag comes out, and we are racing in the fourth championship race for the SRE Series.
And here we go, running off into turn one. Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, all going to be rounding out down the back straightaway here, heading off into turn three. And it looks like iRacing has decided it doesn't want to go through our audio right now, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Rick, if you want to go ahead and carry away the action here.
Absolutely, I would love to. As what I'm going to do while Mason is doing that, I can't do it until he comes back. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go and turn my microphone to voice recognition rather than hitting the button. I don't know what's going on with the audio tonight, but meanwhile, it looks like Chad Simpson has just, he sits in second place. So right now, FBR Motorsports sits 1-2. Nate Siefker, however, moves up 3 spots as he moves up to fourth. And look at Butch Davis way up top. Is that a line that'll work for him? It's pretty treacherous up there. It doesn't seem as though he was able to gain much on his teammate Chad Simpson. Now remember, like I said earlier in the broadcast, Chad Simpson does not want this championship as bad as Butch Davis does. Butch does not have a championship. Chad is the defending series champion as we see Butch go way high once again. Chris Samard tries to split the middle, but Chris is just sitting right there with the 2 FBR teammates. Meanwhile, Nate Siefker sits back in fourth place. Chris Walker with a good start for him. Walker moves up 3 spots from his 8th starting spot, and he sits in 5th. Mike Grandy is 6th right now. Bentley Glazer is 7th. Jeffrey Rowlett 8th. Dan Bracington 9th. And Paul Crumry rounds out your top 10 as Mason Heimbaugh continues to try to iron out these issues. I believe they're audio issues. And it seems as though, well, maybe now he's back. Mason?
Yes, sir. We've got it
Yellow
all.
flag, incidentally. Yellow flag comes out. We've got, it looks like maybe Tim Bates back there. Let's take a look. Ernie Ludwig is involved. Yes, indeed. Ludwig is involved. Let's see who else is involved. Jose Miguel Phillips Vigura. And we're going to have to catch this one on replay so we can see exactly what happened.
And here is the replay spooling up for us on our screen as we get a look of exactly what unfolded here for Timmy Bates.
It was Jose Miguel Phillips. Well, actually, there were two separate accidents, as you just saw right there. Jose Miguel Phillips got high off turn 2. Meanwhile, it looks like Timmy Bates may have gotten loose at the same exact time. So two separate incidents that didn't involve each other.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate to see that, as we just saw our Team Goon Squad instant replay there of that incident. You know, and it's really unfortunate to have these kind of early stint cautions, if you will. I mean, where compared to the Indy 500 where we saw only it was 6 cautions? I can't even remember what it was.
Goodness. Jeff Hollingsworth was also involved in that, by the way. I just want to point that out. These 3 cars should be out of the race. I'm going to try to see if I can get an interview with Timmy Bates. So I will be right back.
All right, as Rick heads on down to pit lane. Wesley, why don't you give us a little bit of information here on what you've been up to lately, as far as, you know, at least where you've been up to since we last caught up here at the Indy 500.
Well, I did Indianapolis with you last Thursday, and then, of course, everybody enjoyed what I did, Butch and Mikey and, of course, Chris, and they wanted to bring me back tonight to work with you and you and Rick in the booth, and I appreciate that, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to come back, and, of course, enough about me. I think we've got an update of what's going on with Timothy Bates to put us under our first caution. Let's go to our colleague here, Mr. Rick Ravon.
Standing here with Timothy Bates. We're in the pits. They're looking over the car. I don't know if they're going to be able to fix it. It looks like there's a lot of damage. Timmy, what happened out there?
I think it's done. I had the weight jacker at a good pace where I could keep my right front, right rear kind of evened out. I think maybe there was some backdraft taken off there because I got loose, and I haven't done that in practice. I haven't done that in any other intervals. I don't know what happened. It just cut.
Well, it's interesting because Jose Miguel Phillips, just behind you, as you got loose, he pushed going into the wall, and he was just behind you. So it seems like turn 2 might be a little treacherous out there. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's hot, especially when you got cars in front of you, that's for sure.
All right, Timmy, before we let you go, who's your pick to win this race? Who's your pick to win the championship? Quickly.
I got Butch winning the race. I got Nate winning the race.
Nate winning the race and Butch the championship?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got Bates' pick. Thanks very much. Better luck next year, buddy.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man.
All right, Timmy Bates, everybody. Back to you in the booth.
Well, Rick, as you said, that's the thing is you've got not only that, Mason, a battle for the race and the win here tonight at Texas, but there's 3 drivers that automatically, alphabetically, hypothetically, any other analogies I can use, Mason Heimbaugh, have got a shot to win the championship tonight. And, of course, it can go down at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at any point in time, I mean, you could be put out of a race, you know, just clipping a wall, getting involved, clipping another driver. I mean, missing your pit entry by, you know, a couple miles an hour. There's so many different ways that you could end your race, and especially at this point, you know, in the first 10 laps of the race, you know, it's crushing. It's absolutely crushing. It's championship night. You're hoping for the best run that you possibly can as drivers prepare for the green flag to drop here once again as the pace car makes its way back down into pit lane. And here Butch Davis is going to see the green flag wave here for the second time here at Texas Motor Speedway. And away we go here once again into turn 1. Butch Davis, Chad Simpson trying to stay right on Butch's tail here as we head on down into the back straightaway.
Well, we must have missed the pass because Butch was trailing Chad before that yellow flag, and at some point he must have gotten around him. I don't think they made pit stops. I see some of the backfield made pit stops, but none of the leaders did. But now the FBR guys, once again, are running 1-2. And Chris Samard is the only guy in the top 4 that's breaking up the trio. of the championship contenders, Davis, Simpson, and Siefker. But you can see right there, Siefker is right behind Chris Samard, and he's looking for that third position.
Samard under attack with Siefker now trying to reel him in. These open wheel warriors nestle their way down the dog leg here at Texas off turn 4, back to turn 1. A little snaking, if you will. Now 2 rows deep, Mason. That works on off the second turn.
We're seeing some pretty interesting action here right off the gate. Nate Siefker with the dive down out of turn 4 here around Chris Samard. Samard, though, he's not going to let that go by easily, and he's going to push himself back up into third place here. Nate Siefker, again, after taking a little bit of a bye week, if you will, for the Indy 500 here with SRE to attend the real-life race, he is going to be pushing himself to get himself as far up this grid as he possibly can. Whether or not he's going to come away with a podium tonight remains to be seen. That is going to be absolutely crucial here if Nate Siefker is going to want to come away with a championship here at the end of tonight. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if there's a reason to miss one of these SRE races and maybe even give away a championship because of it, there's no better reason than to, hey, look, I'm attending the actual Indianapolis 500.
And by the way, guys, they attended the real Indy 500. I actually got to go to the Coca-Cola 600 and was our only announcing team for that race. And a phenomenal Indianapolis 500, a spectacular Coca-Cola 600 for NASCAR. And we got a caution of the Speedway. Second time on the race. We got a problem on the racetrack, Rick Ravon, out of you in turn 4.
I'm trying to find out who it is. Maybe, Ryan Cruz. I'm looking at, he's spinning as we speak, still spinning. We're going to have to get a replay on that. Car number 99, Ryan Cruz. We'll have to take a look on the replay and see what happened. I'll look back on my replay. You're currently looking at somebody else there, but here we go. Here comes the replay. Ryan Cruz comes out of turn. No,
this is Paul. This is Paul Crumrye. This is kind of a two-car incident here. So we have Paul Crumrye, and then Ryan Cruz is somewhere. There it is, right there.
Yeah, he's a secondary caution, Rick, but no harm, no foul. It looked like Paul Crumrye had the first yellow flag, and then we saw the other issue there with Cruz of the problem as well.
So for the second time in the same race, we have 2 separate incidents involving 2 cars that had nothing, at the same time, by the way, that had nothing to do with one another. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's a tough break there, Mason. Obviously, we're going to see these guys coming to the pit lane. And gentlemen, here's another thing we got to think about. It is obviously now we're on lap number lap 10 of 167 here, lap 15, I'm sorry. Here, second caution of the race. Rick and Mason, this race is also going to finish under the lights. So you're going to see the transition from day into night, and that's also going to be really interesting to see how it changes the handling on these Indy cars for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha R and Indy Series.
Well, Wesley, what's going to happen is they're going to stick a little bit better right now as they run. Well, the sun is still out, but it's not all that hot, but they are sliding around a little bit in turn 2. You saw one guy get loose. We spoke to him, Tim Bates. You saw another guy, Jose Miguel Phillips. He pushed into the wall. It just depends on where you're setting your weight jacker and your roll bars. You have to compensate for that, but you really have to kind of tiptoe through turn 2. It'll get a little bit better when the sun goes down, but still, if you don't have it just right for whatever the conditions are, you could loop that thing in a hurry, or you could push. I mean, either way, it's just there's a really fine line at this racetrack. Ever since they changed it, I would say, quite honestly, they kind of ruined it for the Indy cars. But there's kind of one lane through there. You could try the high side, but you don't really gain anything. It's just really treacherous in 2. We're just going to have to see how these guys play it.
Well, Mason, that's definitely something we're definitely going to keep an eye on, buddy, is right now we see Butch Davis out in front. And I will say this, Mason, Butch Davis wants some redemption, especially after being a runner-up to our colleague in the booth last Thursday night in the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Yeah, I think Butch Davis, after an incredible race that he saw at the Indy 500, but ultimately taking second place to Rick Ravon, it's a tough race. 500 miles, 200 laps at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is no joke. And folks, I was kind of curious myself after the broadcast was said and done. I was kind of curious, what is a lap actually like at Indianapolis Motor Speedway? I want to know, what is it actually like behind the IR-18? Folks, it is wild. Trying to keep those things tame through every single one of those turns and not smack the wall coming out of it. Because, I mean, you're basically holding the throttle all the way down. It's incredible, folks. It is absolutely insane, the level of control that these drivers are required to have to be able to run a race like that is phenomenal. And it just goes to show how skilled these drivers are. Go ahead, Wesley.
And Rick Ravon, what is it like to have the winning lap in the third running of the Sim Racers Edge Indy 500 last Thursday?
It's hard to even put into words. I mean, obviously, you know, we're doing this for fun. This isn't real. The lights are on the pace car, so I guess we could still chit-chat about this for another lap under yellow. But the feeling that you get as a sim racer, especially if you take this stuff seriously like I do. I mean, I've been a fan of IndyCar racing really since 1982. Obviously, before I was 12 years old. Before that, you know, you watch racing, it's cool, whatever. I like the crashes like all the other kids. You don't really get to know the drivers until you get a little bit older and you realize the danger. And wait a minute. Then you get to know some of them: Rick Mears, Alan Jr., Bobby Rahal, Tom Sneva, Danny Sullivan. That was all from my era. And you know, all of a sudden, you don't want anybody to get hurt anymore. It really affects you. But to come off of turn number 4, I didn't let myself think I had it won, just like my hero, Rick Mears, until I passed the pit entrance, because I knew then, like he said, if all 4 wheels fell off of the damn thing, I'll still slide across the line. So I just didn't think I had it won until that point. And once I crossed that pit entrance and I knew I had it won, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. I've known Butch for 25 years. We've been sim racing together for a long time. He's one of my best friends in real life, let alone sim racing. But because we're both from New Jersey, we're also deadly rivals. So, you know, he wants to beat me just as bad as I beat him. So to come away victorious under those circumstances, under one of the best drivers I've ever raced with, whew, I mean, it's really hard to put into words. Some of us maybe we take this a little too serious sometimes, but it's something I can't even really describe. But we're about to go green, fellas.
Yeah, Butch Davis is the leader, Simpson second, Simmer third, Siefker, Walker the top 5, single file restart here in Texas Motor Speedway. Championship night. And of course, they work their way back to speed. Mason, back to you in turn number 1. There's a 2-car battle for the lead. He tries to go side by side. Simpson goes to the top shelf out of 2.
He won't do it.
Butch Davis, yeah, he is pushing it real hard. And yeah, just like Rick said, Chad Simpson, they're both very, very competitive with each other. I mean, but they're also very respectful to each other's race. Nate Siefker, Chris Samard make contact.
Nate Siefker tried to pass Samard going into turn 3 and 4, and he just started pushing up, and he stuffed Samard into the wall. I'm sure Chris Samard is not going to be happy about that.
Caution flag will fly for the 3rd time here in championship night for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha IndyCar Series. Rick Ravon, you saw it fall apart in turn number 4 for Seymour and Company.
Let's take another look at it on the replay. There they are, side by side. Look at Nate start to push up right there. And it's just, well, you see it. He stuffed Samard into the wall.
Yeah.
Perhaps Nate didn't realize what the aero push was going to be like. He was following the 2 FBR cars, but I don't know. You just kind of want to practice that. I also want to point out that Nate really didn't show up for this practice until fairly late in the session, so he didn't get a lot of practice time to, feel it out, what the car feels like in the draft and what the aero push, how bad it was going to be. So, I mean, if you want to give him something, I don't know how early he could have. I'm sure if he could have, he would have shown up earlier to get used to that aero push, but that's just a terrible, terrible break for Chris Samard. What a shame.
Mason, to be honest with you, bud, this is what we talked about last week in the Indy 500. And, of course, with all of these Alpha Sim Racers Edge IndyCar events sponsored by Easton-C, you cannot make contact. You cannot make contact with the wheels. If you do, there's a result. And there is one of these drivers that were in the run for the championship, now literally wondering how badly damaged is Seifer's cars. We also saw Simmer really tore up. But what's going on with Seifer? That's the question.
It just went from bad to worse, Wesley, for Nate Seifer, because he was the cause of that accident. SRE sending him to the back of the line.
So he gets a penalty.
Yeah, he gets a penalty because that's the way the SRE is run. If you cause an accident, you get an EOL.
Mason, that's heartbreak. That's heartbreak.
Yeah, in every way, shape, and form. I mean, for Nate Siefker, who coming into this race, I'm sure was hoping to come away with some sort of, I mean, well,
Let me see
okay.
if I can get Nate.
Let's as Rick is heading down on down to pit lane here to see if he can have a word with Nate Siefker. You know what's interesting here for Nate Siefker, I mean, it's still a long race. He still could come back, but as Rick Ravon is back here, Rick, you have some words here with Nate Siefker.
Yes, I do. I've got Nate right now while we're under yellow, and you see Nate way in the back of the field now. Nate, describe what happened. It looked like you just started pushing up in 3 and 4.
I thought he had a lane. I mean, I'm looking back on the broadcast. I think there's a lane for him to run up there. So it is what it is. We'll just drive through the field, I guess.
Do you think with the aero, as bad as it is today, especially in turns 1 and 2, do you think you're going to be able to do that? I mean, we all know how good you are, but still, to get through the field, even for a driver of your caliber, has got to be quite a challenge. Are you confident that you can do this?
Yeah, just watch.
Well, there you go, guys. Nate Siefker is still supremely confident.
Hey, listen. Hey, Rick, when you literally got your back against the wall and something sidelines you, you get that new burst of energy and momentum to do whatever you can to get back to the front. And I think Nate Siefker has that mindset now for sure.
All right, there you go. Butch Davis still leading, and let's see. I'm going to take a look now to see if anybody has pitted. Has anybody from the top pitted? No. Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Chris Walker, Mike Grandy, Bentley Glazer, Bracington, Roulette, Jeffrey Bogan. None of them have pitted, and it doesn't look like Jack Turner either has pitted. He runs in 11th place right now.
And remember, Mason, we talked about Butch Davis right now in the run for the championship. He has a 7-point lead over Chad Simpson. And Chad Simpson, don't count him out, as he's one of those drivers we got to watch currently on the racetrack in the number 2 spot. It's only fitting that Davis and Simpkin, by the way, are 1 and 2 on the racetrack for the championship. And then you got Nate Siefker, who just literally got penalized. He's now going to have to be that underdog, if you will, and not taking anything away, Rick or Mason, away from Nate Siefker, because he's got, what, 5 poles, 6 wins this year, most wins of anybody on the 2022 Sim Racers Edge Alpha IndyCar Series. But he's got to climb to get out of Voodoo Racing. Now, that Voodoo, somebody is poking a virtual doll of Mr. Nate Siefker right now, and somebody needs to find the pins and quit poking him to try to let him try to get a run back through the field, because he has now put himself in a big hole. But you heard what he said. Now, I'm coming to the front. Nobody's stopping me. He's going to be 17th when we come back to green.
I'm sorry. I'll put the Nate Siefker doll away. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, man. Folks, lap 23 of 167, and it is the third caution of the race here tonight. And quite the action that we have seen unfolded already. Some wrecks that we have seen spiral out here from, well, we've seen 1, 2, actually, that were completely separate from one another. We've seen the incident here with Nate Siefker, as well as Chris Simard just a moment ago. And I'm sure I'm missing the other one here. But anyhow, as the safety car is about to get itself back down into pit lane, we're going to see the green flag fly here once again here at Texas Motor Speedway.
You know, Mason, I find it interesting that Nate doesn't feel that he did anything wrong with that pass. He felt that he gave Chris Simard, that's the way it's pronounced, by the way, Simard, he felt he gave him plenty of room.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. Just wanted to clarify that. However, Simard, we have a great moderator in Mikey Bourne, and he's the one that makes these judgment calls. I'd like to actually get our SRE race monitor up here in the booth to get his opinion on what happened. So let me go downstairs and see if I can grab him.
All right, as we are going to get...
Rick's just grabbing everybody in the booth tonight, man. How about that? We just got all sorts of interviews.
I love to see it. Love to get all of the input from, well, just the entirety of everyone that supports this series, whether they're a driver, whether they're race control, whatever their role is in the series. It's always great to get insight from every perspective here with SRE, as Rick Ravon has returned from pit lane after kidnapping Mikey Bourne from the race control booth.
And I had to drag him by the back of his collar to get him up here. He was a little bit reluctant. But nonetheless, I've got race control here, Mikey Bourne. Mike, we talked to Nate after the incident, after the EOL penalty that was given to him. He doesn't feel that he did anything wrong. He felt like Chris Simard had plenty of room up top. What is your take on the incident?
Well, Rick, just from my end, he slid up the track and went right into Simard. So that's why I gave him the EOL. I know Nate is good enough to bounce back.
Well, that's exactly what he said. He's got to come back from 17th place. He said he can do it despite the dirty air. But thank you very much for your take on it, Mikey, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all three of you tonight.
Hey,
All right.
Mikey, real quickly before I let you go, man, and you go back to race directing, people don't realize, unless you do it, when you're on the fly and something like this happens really, really quickly, how fast do you have to make the decision of whether there's a penalty given or not?
I got to be pretty fast about it. I got a little journal on my lap that I write everything down, and then we'll put it up in Discord for the rest of the admins and I to go through and sort everything out if need be.
All right. Well, Mason, point blank. You think the broadcast booth is hectic? Be a race director for virtual or reality to keep up with everything going on around you at the same time. I always tell people you need to spend the time in their shoes to see what it's like, because you'll have a newfound respect of what it's like making those calls. They're stressful, and you got to be persistent, but sometimes you got to be accurate. And everybody makes a mistake. Somebody might get it wrong, but I'm sorry. By going back and seeing what I seen, it looked like Simard and Simard and Seifker made contact, and obviously the call was what the call was, Mason, as we're 30 laps in.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to give massive shout-outs to Mikey Bourne as well as everyone that helps out in the race control booth. It's a tough job. It really, really, truly is. You know, when incidents like that happen out on track, like Mikey just said, you have to be pretty quick in making that decision and, you know, in kind of being the enforcer on the track. You know, you can't just let drivers do what they want to do. Otherwise, it would just be chaos, and then it would probably just end up being a derby race, and that wouldn't really be any fun now, would it? Well, actually, you know what? Maybe it would be.
Well, all credit to Mikey Bourne. He's been doing a stellar job doing race control all season long with SRE. I think he's really found a home. He's a decent race car driver in the Indy cars. He does love to race. I'd like to see him up at the front of the field a little bit more. But he's just fantastic watching over things, and his judgment call is probably about 99% in line with what I see. And God knows I've been doing this for a long time, so I think he's doing a great job, and I also think he made the right call.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's at the end of the day, you know, sometimes even if it doesn't feel like it's you have to be pretty confident in your decisions. I mean, you can't really play favorites to anybody. You really have to, again, you have to lay down the law. You have to be fair and diligent in how you enforce things. So great to see, you know, the level of attention that Mikey Bourne pays to the SRE series here, race after race, as well as everyone else that helps out in every race control booth out there in every other league that might be happening to watch.
Watching Nate Seifker, I've just looked at him, guys. I'm trying to keep an eye on him, and it looks like he's climbing up into the top 10, top 12 right now. So keep an eye on that driver. He is on a mission. He is coming to the front. He's up to 13th right now. Loveridge and Turner better look out. Seifker is on a mission. He's right now in the Baker's dozen spot, Rick, and you're on board with him as he works through the start-finish line.
I'm wondering if we're live because I'm seeing a different picture on my end. I'm looking at Nate Seifker, who's right behind Shane Loveridge right now.
Right now we're looking at Jeffrey Boggin at the top of our screen right now, and on the bottom we are looking at the in-car camera of Yari Brupatcher, who's currently sitting behind Nate Seifker, closing in with about almost a quarter of a second gap between these two drivers right now. So trying to get a whole scope of the field here, guys. Hopefully it's not too confusing, as this is the first time, well, the second time for myself, but the first time that we're running this kind of picture-in-picture views that we have here tonight for the race.
Well, we gotta get Nate on the screen because he's just moving up through the field like a madman. It's been very impressive. We're looking at somebody else there, but Nate now begins to close down on Jack Turner for 11th place. So he has moved up 5 spots since that EOL penalty, and he's almost worked his way back into the top 10.
Yeah, he's in that number 12 position right now.
There
so
he is.
He had 25 cars. He's gone halfway through the field. He was actually in the 17th, 18th spot on the restart now. And we've had a pretty good long green flag run here now, at least 10 laps. So we're working lap number 39 of 167. Still a long way to go in this race, Rick and Mason. So you really got to pace yourself. But here's the thing, and this is what I was telling you about, you know, the bad luck for, obviously, Samard, but for Siefker, he didn't get a lot of damage. He got a penalty, but he got lucky on the damage aspect of things. And that's the thing. He's got to come back through the field now, but it looks like we're watching him climb. He's not having any wing issues, no handling, no problem on chassis or suspension.
No,
so it looks like he got really lucky when he made that wheel contact with Samard off of turn 4, the most recent caution flag.
Yeah, the car looks fine. I think Nate's car is handling just perfectly. And you can tell by the way he's been working his way through the field, but he's got a good second to catch up to 10th place Jake Walsh. Meanwhile, Lyle Swearingen takes over 8th place from Mike Brandy. Swearingen started in the 17th spot, so he's moved up 9 places. But the biggest mover in the field right now is Shane Loveridge. He started 25th. He's moved up 12 places, and he currently runs in 13th place. So Shane Loveridge is also on the move here.
Great to see all of the movers and shakers here throughout the field, and great to see Nate Siefker, after having to fall all the way towards the back of the field, up here in 11th place now. He's working his way through this field slowly but surely. And in lap 43 of 167, he's got more than enough time to be able to get himself back up there in the top 10, as well as possibly the top 5 eventually. And looking at our broadcast notes here, getting an understanding of the night here, our fuel stints are around 40 laps, if we haven't already covered that here for tonight's race. And kind of looking at things currently, we've had a few drivers, quite a handful of drivers, that have already made their ways through pit road, given during the caution. So right now, guys, what are we kind of expecting for drivers, given that Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Chris, essentially really the top, you could almost say top 8, top 9.
Top 7.
Yeah, top 7 here. Essentially, they all have not come down into the pits. Granted, we've had 3. Oh, Shane Loveridge, he loses it coming out of turn 2. He's hitting the bottom wall, and that is going to be the end of the 72's race here tonight. Oh my, oh my. The caution flies here, guys. Shane Loveridge not looking pretty here. Look at that machine, absolutely crippled here.
Hey, and guys, I'll tell you what, a couple of days ago, they had that Week 13 fast repair, or the Week 13 update is what I was going to say for iRacing. And one of the things that I'm glad they didn't mess with was the Indycar Damage model. Obviously, you saw where Loveridge hit the wall, Rick Rave onto the back straightaway down below the inside of the racetrack. And you're seeing on the replay again, just lost it, slammed the back end of the tail tank up against the concrete. And, of course, debris goes flying, and that's from the front wing and the back wing and other parts of the cars. And that new damage model and the update for iRacing, they didn't change it on the Indy cars. I know some people are kind of mad about the new damage model on the NASCAR cars, but the Indy cars were not messed with, and that's a good thing.
Gotta agree with that one here, as we are going to see
stops.
Pit stops, drivers making their way down into pit lane and getting themselves ready to go for the next stint here of their race here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And we are going to see just who is going to come out on top of pit road here. But we are going to see Jari Brupatcher, Ernie Ludwig's decide to stay out, as they both came in around lap 20. I believe that was around the second or third. I believe that was actually the third caution. Anyhow, we are going to see Butch Davis, Rick Ravon, you called it. He's going to be out on the top of the field here, making his way out of pit road, and going to be finding himself in 3rd place here as they stack themselves back up behind the safety car.
Team FBR's pit crews have been practicing overtime for this particular race. I've never seen them practice any harder. Just determination. It was almost as if they were cracking the whip on everybody to make sure they got everything right. But the top 3 is now Jari Brupatcher, Ernie Ludwig. I'm showing Butch Davis up there. I don't think he's still in 3rd place. Probably when he crossed the line. That's what I'm looking at. But right now, this is going to shake things up a little bit because we have a new leader. Now, the guys that have been dominating this race, as we expected, now they have fresh fuel. So the other guys have stayed out. I'm going to have to see who is actually. Let me go back and see if I can. We've got Ernie Ludwig, Yari Brupatcher, and then the pace car. And actually, it looks like Ludwig's coming into the pits. So just about
cycle
everybody
back around to the leaders. Yeah, it's going to cycle back around.
Everybody except for Yari Brupatcher pitted, and so Yari's going to be at a disadvantage. He's got 26 laps on this fuel stint right now, so he's got about another 14, 15, maybe 16 left before he has to come into the pits. So don't really understand the strategy behind this, because this is just going to give the lead easily back to the FBR crew.
Very interesting strategies that we're seeing playing out here, but Ernie Ludwig might have even possibly just missed the opportunity the first time around. I mean, it's very plausible that he could have just not been paying attention. I've definitely seen it happen with some drivers, where the caution comes out and...
Well, he did the same thing in Indianapolis, if you'll remember.
That is true. That is true. You're right.
Quite a few laps. And
so,
actually, Wesley started to think about, well, maybe I should pick him.
Well,
you're exactly right.
Well, and what's curious about that, Rick, is knowing that, is Ernie kind of maybe hesitant to be up here in the front with the rest of the pack, or maybe I don't know. I feel like there's multiple different situations that you could possibly land on and be correct.
Yeah, I don't understand why Ernie didn't come into the pits when they first came around, because now he's well back in the field. Now he runs in 19th place when he could have stayed up there and had second for a little while, maybe until Butch passed him and Chad, but he could have been up there with the front. But now he's all the way back. I just don't understand the call there. Maybe he just forgot to come in the first time. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah. I just want to point out really quick, thank God for two things, because I've been feeling pretty sick the last 3 days. Just a pretty good head cold, a little weak, congested, achy, whatever. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I still have my sense of smell and taste.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. No fever either.
No, hey, listen, it's kind of funny he mentions that, guys, because there has been some people that have been getting sick since after the Memorial Day weekend. And, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but if you watch the NASCAR race on Sunday, Chris Buescher, the guy that got in the big wreck where he flipped upside down, it was announced probably about 2 hours ago that he was diagnosed with COVID. And he is not able to race this weekend at Gateway, which is such a disappointment. And there's somebody else that's filling in, taking the ride for him. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we're obviously it's great, Rick, to see 300,000 people at Indianapolis and close to 100,000 people at Charlotte last week for the 600. And it's great to see those things back to normalcy again. But I still think we've got... we're not above out of the woods just yet, definitely. Yeah, so hopefully people get to feeling better for sure.
I'm sure there'll be some people on the left calling them super spreaders, but whatever. I'm not really worried about that. Thank God for two things, by the way.
I'm in no way a leftist, okay, Rick Rayvon?
No, I wasn't insinuating that. But I just wanted to say thank God for Sudafed, number one, because I feel a lot better.
Yes,
and also, I know that the adrenaline watching this race has definitely got me pumped up. That's helping me get through this, too, as we go green once again. And it looks like Yari Brupatcher starts to pull away just a little bit, running the mid-groove in turns 1 and 2, and he dials it down. That's been his line throughout this entire race, and it's working for him. Now, why he's trying to lose Butch, I don't know. We're only on lap 49, but we're watching Brupatcher, swerve left and right on the backstretch. It's really not going to serve him any purpose there.
No, indeed it's not. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to step on you there, Wesley.
No, go ahead, Mason. I'm sorry, man. They're working their way back into turn number 1 and 2, and you're doing a great job. Look at this 3-car battle that's heating up, man, but I'm keeping my own seeker here.
Looks like we had a moment here with Shane Loveridge. If my timing software here will cooperate with me, it's been giving me a heck of a trouble here tonight, folks. But we are working with it, trying to do the best that we can to give you the best show possible here tonight for championship night of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, brought to you by ecency.com. Yari Brupatcher, currently the only driver out on the oldest set of tires, is Butch Davis down on the inside, working his way into turn 3. He's going to make the pass for first place out of turn 4, down the front straightaway, and it's going to be Butch Davis's race back here once again. The 43 machine back in the lead here with FBR Motorsports. But Yari Brupatcher, he says, I'm not done leading this race here. Let me have another stab at it, as he takes maybe the lead back here. Down the back straightaway, they're duking it out side by side, but the fresher set of tires of the 43
hey guys,
prevail.
We got a car stalled below the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 3 and 4. I don't know if anybody caught that or not, Rick, but there is a car stalled there. Literally,
Shane Loveridge.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And no caution.
Shane Loveridge going to be stuck on the bottom of the racetrack here. And yeah, just like Wesley said, there is no caution in sight here at this moment. Very interesting to see that here. Ignore that caution. That is not actually the caution that we were anticipating here. As yeah, still Shane Loveridge still on the bottom. Well, yeah, still the bottom of the racetrack as he limps his way down into pit lane here. Not exactly certain what's going on for that number 72 machine. He looks like he's struggling to get that car to turn.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can now.
Right, I'm gonna leave it on voice activation because I was talking earlier and I guess you couldn't hear me. I don't know what's going on here, but Shane Loveridge went out with a very, very damaged race car. Now you have to keep in mind, fellas, that this series does not use fast repairs. There are no fast repairs. So if you damage your race car, the crew is going to fix it as best as they can, but you don't get that brand new race car if you had a fast repair. They don't have any. So he went back out on the racetrack. And he just immediately got loose in 1 and 2. I'm surprised the yellow didn't come out because he hit the wall in 1 and 2. And then he brought it to the inside of the racetrack, trying to get it back into the pits. Why, I don't know. His day is finished. He should just tow. So I don't know why Shane Loveridge has been out there on the bottom of the racetrack struggling after hitting the wall, trying to get it to the pits. It just makes no sense.
Hey, Rick, could that have forced maybe a caution and Mikey Bourne would have had to disqualify him or bump him from the server if he would have intentionally brought out a yellow flag?
Oh, yeah. Well, no doubt about it. You can't intentionally bring out a yellow flag. There's no dirty tactics like that will be allowed at all. They're very strict about that. Fortunately, the yellow didn't come out, but even if there was a yellow, it wouldn't have benefited Loveridge in any way, shape, or form. So I just can't figure out why he, number one, would go out there with a damaged race car. Number two, hit the wall in 1 and 2, and then bring it on the inside of the racetrack and then struggle to get back to the pits. Why? You're done. Your day is done. Your car's toast. There's no fast repairs. Get off the racetrack. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like sometimes as a driver, you're just hoping that it's not that bad. Hopefully that you're able to still keep it out on the racetrack. But yeah, Rick, just like you said, sometimes you have to make that call. You have to be able to make that decision and say, hey, enough is enough. This car is not, it's not going to be able to compete. It needs to be repaired, and it's not going to be able to be done in time to be able to get back out on racetrack.
And you know what, guys, Mason and Rick, here's the thing also you got to remember about tonight. Tonight's championship night, okay? We had a phenomenal fun time at Indianapolis last week and ran a full 500-mile race course. Our colleague Rick Bravon won it. But now you literally hang in the balance. You've got the race. That's the race within the race, the championship. And as we move to 100 laps to go in this event, working now lap number 60 next time by, 107 remaining, you got to realize that you got to let these guys, Rick and Mason, that are running for a championship, you got to let them contend. And somehow, some way, there's got to be some respect because you don't want to wreck anybody, especially the guys that are running for a championship.
Right. Well, if you'll remember, you interviewed me halfway through the race at Indianapolis last week.
I did, yes.
And I clearly said, listen, there's a championship battle going on. I don't want to get in the way of that. God forbid I end up making a mistake, taking somebody out who's in the hunt for a championship. I'd jump off a bridge if that happened. But fortunately for me, I was able to get to the front and stay there. I had the chance to win, so there was no danger involved, and I was able to come out with the win there. But again, like you said, you have to realize as a racer in this series, everybody knows there's a championship going on. This is the final race of the season to determine the championship, and you don't want to get in the way, in any way. You don't want to get, change the circumstances by doing something dumb.
Mason, it's like I've told somebody one time, there is a race and you're not in it. No hard feelings, but your time will come another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see how these events kind of all play out here as we're continuing to try and get our... Yeah, we're trying to get our software working again here for you folks, as it seems like our timing has decided to crap the bed here. It is It is a heck of a night here in the production booth here, folks.
Wow.
Are we looking at Seifker live?
Yes, we are.
It's
We are
incredible
looking
what
at
he's
him.
doing.
He's
Look,
seventh. He's
the
seventh,
sea of
Rick.
cars. The sea of cars that he's involved with right now, and he's right behind Brupatcher.
He's
And
going
it
for
looks
another
like a
2-for-1 special.
Dan Bracington, he's running in 5th, and Seifker's looking to get by both of them. He gets by Brupatcher. Now he aims after Bracington, and he's moved up to 5th place. Almost 5th, almost.
Yeah, he's in 6th now. He's making that move into turn number 3, and Seifker now right in the middle of the lane, picking them off 1 by 1, sometimes 2 by 2. He is literally on an ascent to come to the front. By the way, it looks like we're having car commercial credits on the top of the screen again. So we're trying to work on that, ladies and gentlemen, so you can work on your time and scoring in your ticker. But we will do our best to keep up with it. I think we have real time. Am I right, Rick Ravon, with live sim timing and SDK? We have real timing and scoring in front of us. And right now it's Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Chris Walker, Bentley Glazier, and all those guys currently as it stands right now as we work in the top 5.
Look at Seifker going to the outside of Bracington, heading into turn number 1. He dials it down into 2. That's a fast way to get around this place. And he is just trying so desperately to get around Bracington to pick up 5th place. Nate was sent to the back of the field because he caused an incident, according to the stewards, between him and Chris Simard. Incidentally, I don't know if Chris Simard is around. I should try to get him. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. But Seifker said, no problem. I'll work my way back up to the front. And darn if he's almost there. He's running in 6th right now, looking for 5th. But Butch Davis is 3.5 seconds in front of Seifker. And if this goes green the rest of the way, Seifker's going to have a heck of a time chasing down Butch, because we all know Butch is quick.
And Mason, that's one of the things we've got to keep an eye on, man, is we're closing in on, 100-something laps to go. We're watching Seifker, and you heard the race director say this about 35 laps ago. I'm not worried about Nate Seifker. I know he's got talent. I know he can come back through the field. I'm calling my shot. He's going to make it happen. And look at him right now trying to get back in the hunt of things. But here's the thing. To get up there, then he has got to go after Chad Simpson and Butch Davis for the lead again, Rick and Mason. And honestly, we've got to think here. How much tires has he used up from making the run from the back to catch back to the front?
Very good point.
It's one thing to run somebody down, my friend. It's another thing to pass your competition.
Believe me when I tell you, if he catches, and that's a big if, because Butch, like I said, he's one of the quickest guys on the racetrack. It's going to be hard for him to catch Butch without a yellow flag. But if he catches him, you're going to see the battle of the century between the two, because Butch could make that car about 3 car widths wide if he has to. And he knows, just like I did to him at Indianapolis last week, he knows just how to feed the dirty air to the car following to keep him back there. So this is really heating up. Meanwhile, incidentally, Jari Brupatcher, who led the race for a handful of laps just a little while ago, he just pitted. Now he came out in 18th place. Could that play into his favor as the race goes on? We don't know that yet, but right now, still watching as Nate Seifker, Dan Bracington, Jeffrey Bogan running right together. Seifker now running in 5th place, trying to chase down the leader, Butch Davis. And he is getting closer, incidentally. I'm watching the gap, and Nate is now 2.8 seconds behind. It was 3.5. So Nate is getting closer to the leader.
Indeed,
and
he
Mason,
is.
And Mason, might I add, buddy, I know you're working on multitasking with the production and everything at hand and doing a phenomenal job keeping it going, but you get those 3 cars battling. How fitting would it be for Texas, for the championship, to see those guys fighting as your final 3 cars to decide the title?
Oh, I mean, that would just be absolutely incredible. I mean, the build-up for this championship has just been incredible. I mean, we've had Butch Davis, we've had Chad Simpson, as well as Nate Seifker, all contending for this championship. And frankly, Nate Seifker tonight, I don't know. I think Nate Seifker definitely has some tricks up his sleeve for this race here tonight. Again, after working his way from the tail end of the field all the way back up here into 5th place. Absolutely incredible here for the number 2 machine, Wesley. Frankly, going into the final half of this race here, well, about halfway, I should say. I'm curious.
100 laps to go.
Wow. Nate Seifker is coming on like gangbusters. He's now 1.9 seconds behind the leader.
I love that. Gangbusters. He's coming on like gangbusters, y'all. Watch him reeling him in. Like bait on a hook, if you will. And it is go time. And honestly, it looks like he's got a really, really strong car now, Mason. He's moved into the top 5, but he's still 1.75 seconds back to the leader, Butch Davis.
Yeah.
Actually, that's 1.8 seconds behind fourth place Bentley Glazer. I misspoke. He's
Correction. My apologies.
4.5 seconds. I apologize. 4.5 seconds behind, but he's still closing on Butch Davis. He is reeling him in, just not as quickly as he's reeling in Glazer right now.
Yeah, Glazer's going to be in trouble here before too long. Siefker definitely showing some very good pace here, and also showing some very good pace to the number 23 car of Chris Walker sitting in third place. So not exactly certain how long it's going to be before we see Nate Siefker competing up here in this top 3 spots. I would have to imagine it would be around the time when drivers come down into pits for the second time here tonight. Well, at least under green flag conditions, if you will. So very, very interesting to see Nate Siefker on his charge here tonight, back up here into the top 3. Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, not really a whole lot changing there between those two drivers, as Chris Walker now going to be starting to see a little bit of pressure here from Bentley Glazer as the number 4 car makes his way down the back straightaway and closes in the gap between himself and that number 23 car down to just under a quarter of a second.
Hey, Rick, so I got a question for you as halfway is looming. 84 laps will be halfway in this race, and then we go back to the second half. As you being a former racer yourself, winner last week at Indianapolis, when do you drive for the checkered flag? And when
Nate got loose.
Whoa!
Nate just got loose coming off turn 2. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was watching. Can we get a quick replay of that? The field is spread out pretty well right now. If we could go to a replay, you've got to see Nate Siefker's back end started to come around, and he caught it. He went all the way down to the inside of the racetrack, but he caught it and continues on. A close call for Nate Siefker.
Well,
and he'll hold on to that top 5 spot right now. What a save for Nate Siefker for the Team Goon Squad instant replay coming up by Sim Racer's Edge in this Alpha Series finale. But, you know, and here's the thing, Rick, and we'll go back to the question that I was going to ask you. It's one thing to, like, save a car at 120 miles an hour. It's another thing to have your car literally be on the edge of control like Nate Siefker did. And you're on board with him right now for the replay. And
that's
holy
Glazer. Actually,
moly, what a save. That's Bentley Glazer actually on board with him right now.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a replay of that incident as, unfortunately, timing and scoring didn't pick up on that specific incident. I'm not sure if he made contact with anything or not, but
no, he didn't make contact. It wouldn't count it as an incident, but he just got sideways and continued on. But it was a hell of a save.
Unfortunately, not able to catch it back up here in the booth unless we want to go rewind the spools and check back here again. But either way, Nate Siefker here starting to see a little bit of, well, interesting pressure here tonight as we're closing lap 84 of 167 here in tonight's race at Texas Motor Speedway for Sim Racer's Edge Alpha IR-18 Series Championship night.
Take a look at 11th place, Paul Crumry. He's been on Carl Burke's tail for the last several laps. Carl Burke finally got around him, and he's now starting to pull just a little bit on Crumry, but that was a heck of a battle. Carl Burke now closing down on Jeffrey Roulette. We haven't seen Carl Burke running all too well through this season, but he's been making his way through the field. He qualified 23rd. 23rd, he's up 13 spots right now. So Carl Burke is doing a fantastic job. He gets the left sides almost onto the paint stripes on the, and he almost lost it right there. He also got sideways coming off too.
Yeah, how about it for the legend Carl Burke? Man, oh man, what a save for him as he was down below the bottom of the racetrack and quickly made the move to, what a daring shot that was. And you saw that on the broadcast right there, Rick. What a save he made.
That was an incredible save. Jeffrey Roulette's been running a smooth and steady race himself. We got somebody coming out of the pits. Jeff Hollingsworth just made a stop, so he can reset that fuel mileage gauge. Meanwhile, still looking at Carl Burke, and just in front of him, Jeffrey Roulette. And Roulette has been trying to chase down Lyle Swearingen, who I think, if I remember, didn't he have a little issue earlier in the race? Or am I thinking about somebody else?
I think he did.
Crumry, Kevin O'Brien. Well, it looks like Crumry's coming into the pits, so he's going to throw away his 11th place for the moment, and he's going to make his pit stop. Meanwhile, Butch Davis, the leader, 41 laps on this tank. Chad Simpson is only 1 second behind him, but you get the sense as is his custom through this entire season. Chad Simpson's just kind of taking it easy. I have a feeling that both of them have dialed their fuel back. You might see them get 3 or 4 laps more on it. Well, we had a yellow flag, so they're on lap 42 of their fuel stint right now. They can make it a handful more. I don't know exactly how many, but it's not going to be too long from now, and you're going to see the leaders come into the pits. Matter of fact, here comes Chris Walker. Chris Walker coming into the pits right now. That's going to move Nate Siefker into 4th place. 4th place, but Nate is dropping back a little bit from Butch. Now he's 5.2 seconds back. And like I said before, without a yellow flag, Nate is going to have a heck of a tough time running down Davis.
And I'm wondering, Mason, do you think they could maybe go on one more stop, or are we going to see at least a penultimate stop to the finish? Davis is in. Butch Davis is on pit road on lap number 90. Here comes the STP machine. So that answers my question. So obviously this will not be the money stop. This is the penultimate pit stop right now with the race, Mason, unless we get another caution flag.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there on that one. You know, with this kind of shaping up to be sort of the last pit stop of the race here, seeing how things are starting to stack up here, as it looks like our leaders are going to be coming down into the pits here for just a moment. Bentley Glazer, Dan Brazington, Jeffrey Boggin, Jeffrey Roulette, Mark McFadden, all going to be making their way down into pit lane here on lap 91 of 167. So I'm not really sure what to expect here, as Simpson's made his way down into pit lane here.
Yeah,
now, Simpson stayed out a couple of more laps on older tires. So Butch, he had a 1-second lead. He came out on fresh tires, you know, balls to the wall, as they say. So he's probably going to have a bigger gap because he was able to run those last couple of laps a lot faster than Simpson was on old tires. I'm not sure Simpson really cares all that much. I know he and Butch are very close. They've been teammates for a long time. He would love to see Butch get this championship because Chad's already got one. I'm not saying he doesn't want to win, but I don't think his heart is quite in it as much as he would love to see his teammate get one.
So, Rick, I got a question. If you are one of the drivers that are racing for the championship tonight here at Texas, like, of course, Davis, Simpson, and Siefker, do you think it was smart for everybody to all pit in sequence with each other, even though you see Siefker back, in the top 10? He's in 8th now. But now you look at the scoring pylon, pick back up, and you see Davis and Simpson 1 and 2. Now 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd, but Simpson dropped back, like I said, a little bit from Butch. He's almost 2 seconds back, and he's still on cold tires, so this is probably going to be at least a 2-second lead when everything shakes down. But Ernie Ludwig, I'll answer your question in a second. Ernie Ludwig now picked up the lead. He's got 45 laps into this run, so he's going to have to pit in the next lap or two. But as far as a championship is concerned, you got to go for it right from the green flag. A track like this with the dirty air behind the cars, as bad as it is, it's not easy to work your way up, although Nate Siefker's trying to prove me wrong on that. But Nate Siefker's just been stellar getting through the field. But you definitely want to be up with the leaders. You don't want to be in the mid-pack or in the back. God forbid something happens in front of you, you get caught up in it, and it's through no fault of your own. You don't want to put yourself in a situation like that. So qualify as best as you can, and my way of doing it is get to the front as quick as you can and just stay there if you can.
I couldn't have said that any better, Mason, for sure, as Rick, again, joining us and did a phenomenal job last week at Indianapolis, and now ready to settle this thing here. And obviously, the strategy, as you look at the time and scoring, Ludwig and now 25:39, Davis 24:90. You're looking on these different scoring telemetries, and you're seeing who can run each other down as they work their way off the corner. There's that driver we're watching. I think it's O'Brien, I think is who it was, coming back through the field. And all the while, it's Ludwig, Davis, Simpson, Glazer. And here's the question I was going to ask you, Mason, before we had, I'm sorry, Rick, before we had that crazy moment where Nate Siefker about lost it off the corner. And the question for you is this, as a former racer yourself: when does the time come to look for your checkered flag to win the race? But when does the mindset settle in that you also know that you're racing for a championship, and sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture at hand?
Well, I think, it depends. Right now, Nate Siefker has really got his work cut out for him, because Nate would really have to win this race or finish 2nd or 3rd, and both Butch and Chad would basically have to fall out of the race for Nate to win the championship. Obviously, every championship is different. You could play the points, or you could, you could sit back. Actually, Butch could actually sit back, and so can Chad, and just stay up there 1-2, not race each other, and they've got the championship won. If Nate Siefker finishes first and Butch finishes second, Butch could finish as far back as, I believe, 15th and still win the championship. That's how big the gap is between the two of them. But every championship battle is different, as we're watching Nate Siefker right now closing in for third place on Bentley Glazer. Shoots down to the inside in turn 3, gets a good stick coming off the corner, and Nate Siefker now picks up third. And like I said before the start of this race, you're probably going to see the usual suspects up there running 1, 2, 3, and that's where they're at right now. They're running 1, 2, 3. It's Davis, Simpson, and Siefker, and that's exactly the way the points sit right now. Davis leads the points. Simpson is second in the points, and Siefker is third in the points. Now, you have to remember, Nate Siefker had an amazing run where he won 4 races in a row. Remember, Butch was leading this thing right from the start. He won Daytona, the opening race of the season, and then he held on to that lead until about halfway through the season, where Nate Siefker just came on like crazy and just had victory after victory after victory. And then all of a sudden, things started falling apart for Nate, and now Butch has the lead back. It's just been a crazy season here, guys.
Oh, and by the way, Mason, we just passed lap 100. We're down to the home stretch with 67 to go at Texas.
The final stretch, and the fire has ignited here at Texas Motor Speedway for the championship. Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Nate Siefker, 1, 2, and 3. The championship fight is on here, folks. Right now, the field is fairly well spread out, but there are still just about 66, 67, 65 laps to go now. Math is hard sometimes. There is still very much a possibility that we could see Nate Siefker work his way up to Chad Simpson or Butch Davis. There's only just about 2.5 seconds separating Nate Siefker and Chad Simpson. Nate Siefker, I mean, really, he's got to be able to bring that lap time down. He's got to be able to be consistent with those lap times and really trail down Chad Simpson. That's his main goal right now, I think, as right now he's still duking it out with Bentley Glazer.
Look at that. Look at the battle. Bentley Glazer is just giving him hell right now, but I'm watching the time between Siefker and Davis. It was over 5 seconds. It's down to 4.4, guys.
Glazer!
Oh, Glazer's in the wall. Glazer.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no, folks. And this is exactly what I was... Frankly, guys, I was kind
no
of...
No caution, might I add, guys. No
Oh,
caution.
man. You know...
Got it down to the inside.
Keeping it down from the rest of the field and down on the bottom side of the track. Bentley Glazer is going to limp that 4-car down into pit lane, and that is going to be the end of Glazer's race as he skids it sideways into the grass.
Yeah, we're not going to see a yellow here. What happened to Glazer was he just simply pushed it a little bit too hard and pushed off at turn 2, hit the wall on the outside. It shot him down to the inside, and that's day done for Glazer.
And what a tragic way to end your race here tonight, too, as, you know, closing in on the final, really, third of the race, if you will. That we've seen multiple drivers involved in scenarios like that here tonight, guys, and it's really unfortunate to see. You know, Wesley, you mentioned it at the very beginning of the broadcast, how we were going to see the lights here at Texas Motor Speedway. Do we think that track temperatures are starting to come into play here tonight?
And that's one of the things, and I was thinking the same thing. You know, you're looking at track temp, you're looking at the sun going down as nightfall is settling in, the lights are coming on, and we're watching this distance, we're watching this interval as right now we see lap 108 of 167, and it's still obviously Butch Davis's race to lose. Simpson in second. I don't want to take anything away from Siefker because he literally had to come from the back on a penalty. He's rallied through the field. Rick Ravon, it is only fitting for a championship. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 here in Texas in the closing laps now, closing in on 50 laps to go. You can't make this stuff up.
I'm watching Butch right now. William Fletcher kind of gave him a hard time trying to pass him back. Butch has a couple of slower cars in front of him. One is Fletcher, and the other one is Kevin O'Brien. O'Brien sits just in front of Davis right now. Davis has to make his way past Kevin O'Brien. He barely got around Fletcher. And now as he runs the high line, and it looks like O'Brien is also doing the same thing, and Butch really has to get out of the throttle just pushing like crazy. Again, in that dirty air, you want to stay away from that. You've got to run at least a lane and a half left or right from the guy that you're following. And Butch has got his hands full right now with Kevin O'Brien. He's got to make his way safely around. This is always a dangerous part of the race because the guy's running in the back, and it looks like maybe, I thought O'Brien might let him go there, running on the bottom side. Butch is up top, but this is dangerous because you don't want one of these, one of the back markers to take you out of the race. That would be a heck of a way to go out, especially when you're fighting for the championship. Now, if something did happen to Butch and he fell out of the race, his championship most likely is done because Chad Simpson, if he made it to the end, would win the championship. Like I said before, Nate needs Butch and Chad really to fall out of this thing to have a shot at the championship because of the point spread right now. 24 points between the leader, Butch Davis, and Nate Siefker, who runs in second. So at the moment, the way they stand, Butch has got the championship, and Chad would finish second if they finish the way they run right now.
Well, there's a lot of scenarios. That's a lot of counting fingers and toes and crossing eyes and legs to try to find out what numbers, points, positions you need to be there at the end. But I think Rick Rayvon Mason gave a great synopsis of what it's going to take to lock up this championship. Obviously, and that's what I was saying, just because you cross the line and you win the race, you got to look at the bigger picture. You might win the race, but you might not have enough points to win the championship.
Yeah, meanwhile, Chad Simpson's been closing the gap on Butch Davis. He was 2 seconds behind, if you'll remember, after that last pit stop. Now he's just 0.8 of a second behind. So Simpson is closing in on his teammate. I just can't imagine that he would fight him all that hard because the last thing you want to do, I mean, it's a rule of thumb in racing. The last thing you want to do is take out your own teammate, especially when you guys are both running for a championship. But who knows? Who knows what can happen here? Chad Simpson now only 0.7 of a second behind, so this is getting interesting. Yellow flag, yellow flag. Who is
it? And now it really makes everything interesting now. Caution out. It's not the first caution. I think it's the 5th one.
Let's see exactly what unfolded here. Let's get our replay spooled up. It looks like Kevin O'Brien involved in this one here. Let's go ahead and get our replay spooled up here and ready for
and
us
that's exactly what I was talking about, Mason. Could you imagine if Butch Davis was on the inside of O'Brien? Did we get that? Did we get that early enough? Did we get that replay early enough? Kevin O'Brien came off turn 2. The back end came around, got loose. What if Butch Davis was passing him to put a lap on him, and it happened at that moment? That's what I was talking about, the danger of lapping the back markers, because God forbid something happens. It could take you out of the race.
Indeed, it could, as we're going to spool things back here and get a little bit of a better picture of what happened.
That's
Looks like
Chad Simpson just in front of him. That's Simpson's second place. Could have happened to Simpson too.
Very, very close there for Kevin O'Brien, as well as the rest of the field for that matter. Speaking of the rest of the field, you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen the rest of the field making their way down into pit lane as they get themselves ready for, I'm assuming,
their perfect opportunity for pit stops.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is the, like Rick just said, it's the perfect time to come down, get a fresh set of tires, fill up on fuel if needed, and get ready.
And this is the money stop too right here, I believe also, guys. I think they can try to stretch this to the end. Rick, what are you thinking, buddy? 50 laps to go. Can they, obviously the run's on 40 laps, but can they stretch it if we stay under caution?
I'll tell you what, it's possible. We saw Ernie Ludwig earlier. He got, I believe it was 49 laps out of his tank of gas. So if anybody can do it, it's the FBR guys. I wouldn't be surprised. They're right in the window right now. If they were to conserve, they could probably make it to the end. I'm going to say that they can, but you're going to have to dial it back, and you've got some tigers behind you who might think differently and say, you know what, I want to get to the front. And let's say, for example, Nate Siefker gets to the front of the field, and the other guys are conserving fuel. Nate can run away from them while they conserve fuel and get a big enough gap to where if there's another yellow, he might be able to duck in on fresh tires and run the leaders down. So this is going to be very interesting here.
Very interesting indeed, as lap 117 of 167, and if you're looking at the left-hand side of your screen and wondering why it says it's the first caution of the race, that is incorrect, as again we've had quite the night here in the production booth, and so hopefully still, nonetheless, that the show has been enjoyable.
It's because I showed up. Just blame it on the new guy.
Yeah, it's all Wesley's fault. It says ecency.com right at the top of that first cause. Believe me, ecency has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that error. You got to try ecency, by the way. It's a great app. It's so much fun to get involved with the different features that it has and the different rooms and talking to people, texting to people. Kind of reminds me of the old America Online days. It's a lot of fun. You should try ecency.com.
Hey, I still have by the way, I still have an AOL email, and it works.
Yeah, so do I.
You guys are making me feel real young right now. You know, when I was just a wee young lad and getting into the internet and computers for the very first time, I'm pretty sure that AOL was still pretty common at that time, but in a sense, obviously fizzled out.
Wait a minute. When were you born, Mason?
96.
96. I was already on AOL, for God's sakes.
I was born in '83, but I mean,
I was on AOL for a year. When you were born.
Rick's a lot older than we are, Mason. Okay,
yes.
I'm the middle child.
I'm definitely the old man here. Just remember, the old man just won the Indianapolis 500.
That's right. Yes,
Indeed,
sir.
he did. Yes. The winner of the Indianapolis 500, Rick Ravon here, doing an absolutely incredible job, both in the seat of the IR-18 as well as up here in the commentary booth with us, as we are going to go ahead and get ourselves ready. Well, actually, never mind. Looks like the lights are still on, and we are going to take it another lap or two around here at Texas Motor Speedway. Butch Davis, Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson, all 1, 2, and 3 here. And Nate Siefker, after having a heck of a night here. I mean, guys, what are we thinking right now? I mean, this is championship night, and Nate Siefker sitting in second place after working his way all the way from the tail end of the field. This is quite the race here.
This is very exciting. Lap 119. Nate Siefker jumps Chad Simpson. Now he splits the FPR guys. Excuse me. But it's going to be very, very fun to watch this battle. I don't know what they have in mind. I think theoretically they could make it to the end on this tank of fuel if they really dial it back and conserve. Like I said, we saw Ernie Ludwig get about 49 laps. We're in that window right now. But will Nate turn it up and decide to go for the lead? I don't know if all three of them are going to conserve fuel. Maybe Butch and Nate will go for it, and Chad will conserve fuel. What are they talking about down in the FBR team room? I have no idea. But we're going to go green here in just a few seconds, and we're going to see just what these guys have in mind, what their plans are, what the strategy is.
Indeed.
And here's something to think about, guys. We're closing in on the end of this race, and remember what we discussed earlier as you're looking at the scoring ticker. Davis is the leader, Siefker second, Simpson third. Even though Nate Siefker's in that second spot, even if he wins the race, he's third in the points. Does he have enough to win that championship? I think, Rick, did you say?
Not unless Davis and Simpson fall out.
Yeah, that's the only way I'm thinking that it'll change. So we're back to green. So that's another thing we got to keep an eye on. Less than 50 to go, green flag, and man, it's only fitting. Mano, Imano, a swine. Your top three right there, battling for the championship, battling for the win here at Texas. They're in turn number 3, Rick.
Now, you got to remember now, if Davis, Siefker, and Simpson think they can make it to the end and they dial the fuel back, Chris Walker's back there, Jeffrey Bogan, Lyle Swearingen, Bracington, all of those guys, maybe they're going full bore. And they might be able to come through and pick up the lead themselves, but we just don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know right now is that Davis has got the lead, and Siefker is sitting behind him, only 0.3 of a second back in second place. And Chad, of course, playing it smooth and safe, sits there in third, just watching these two in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here comes Chad. He's got a good run. He's got a good run on Nate. Is he going to look to take second place? He goes down to the inside, and Chad Simpson, well, now he's in the wake of his teammate. See, and he pushed up right there. And so Nate Siefker's going to be able to keep the momentum up, but Siefker had to back out of it. He almost pushed into the wall coming off too. So it looks like Chad Simpson's going to be able to secure that second place. And once again, we have an FBR 1-2. Now, what is Siefker going to do? As Butch Davis starts to pull away just a little bit, is Siefker going to dial the fuel back and just ride behind Simpson? I wish I knew what these guys had in mind, but it doesn't look like that. Look at the move that Nate Siefker makes on the outside, and Chris Walker goes down to the inside of both of them, looking to get around. This is heating up, guys.
Indeed it is, as we ride along with Nate Siefker in that number 2 machine, sitting in third place currently, just getting an idea of what it's like down on the inside of one of these cars here at Texas Motor Speedway. Down on the inside of Chad Simpson into turn 1. He has to back off as he almost makes contact with the number 42. With FBR Motorsports, Chad Simpson down the back straightaway we go. Nate Siefker going to try and set himself up here going into turn 3 here once again. Siefker very patient here on this restart and heading into the final nearly 40 laps here of the race.
But there goes a move, and under attack is Simpson inside on the outside. Here comes Nate Siefker. He'll make that move up on the outside, 2 side by side. While that goes on, Rick, you know what Butch Davis is saying? You guys battle. I'm going to pull away. He does that as now Siefker goes to second, getting back around Simpson out of 4.
Well, you know what the interesting thing about that is that if those two wreck themselves, Butch wins the championship, and his teammate Chad Simpson still gets second place. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter to Butch, but I'm not sure he would be all that sad to see those guys take each other out, because that would just ensure, that would guarantee the championship for Butch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a second place for Chad.
Yeah, and right now we're kind of getting a side-by-side view here. We have Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson duking it out on the left-hand side of our screen, and then we're seeing Lyle Swearingen as well as Dan Brazington and Carl Burke all duking it out on the right-hand side of your screen for that 6th place spot, rather, if you will, down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Folks, this is quite the race here that we have here tonight, and still the battle is not over for our drivers in the lead right now. Butch Davis, Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson. But Butch Davis, guys, he is looking quite phenomenal out there right now. He is keeping that half a second gap pretty consistently. I mean, are we going to see Nate Siefker track him down at all?
It's come down. Nate Siefker got around Simpson for second, and he's been running down Butch Davis, which tells me one thing. These guys are not conserving fuel. I think we have one more stop to go. It's going to come down to that last stop.
Yeah, Rick, I think me and you just literally read each other's minds. Get out of my head or I'll get out of yours. But I'm thinking the same thing, man. I'm watching as aggressively as these guys are going. Oh, trouble! No! Straight away, slamming into the wall.
Lyle Swearingen.
Swearingen's car. Oh, my goodness. Wasn't he the one, Mason, that brought out the first caution in the Indy 500 last Thursday night? I think he was.
I think
By the way, stay green, guys. We're staying green.
No caution. We're staying green.
That means we still have one stop to go.
To answer your question, though, Rick, I think me and you were in agreement. They're literally setting themselves up for the money stop. They're ready to give it all they got, for sure. Yes, they are using every inch of this racetrack. They're using every capability of these virtual cars, and they are pushing it to the limit. Look at this battle now.
Look at Siefker.
He's coming, and he's on a mission. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Siefker is right there. He looks to the outside. Now he's going to tuck in right behind Davis. Did Davis dial the fuel back a little bit? Maybe trying to conserve, get to the end. I don't know, but he's still running so fast. It doesn't look like he's really conserving, because he would. No, he's. I'm watching their speeds right now. No, they're both on it.
They're full bore, man. They're
on
it.
For the lead. This is a battle for the win.
Nope, caution's not out.
No, it's not.
False alarm.
It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's hashtag fake news. No yellow flag. We're still going. I wanted to prove to you, Rick, I'm not from the leftists. Here we go. Down the back straightaway. As Davis and Siefker battle side by side. Rick Raymond into turn number 1.
Siefker has to bade back just a little bit because he's on the outside line. Butch Davis, like I said, what did I say, guys? Earlier, I said Butch Davis knows how to make that car 3 car widths wide if he needs to. He's going to feed Siefker the dirty air. He's going to make that car wide. He's going to race him hard, but overall, he's going to race him nice and clean, because that's the way Davis does it. Siefker's giving him all he can handle right now. Butch stays on the inside going through 1 and 2 because that's where most of the grip is. Siefker tries to get that momentum on the outside, and it works for him on the backstretch. He closes in just a little bit, but he's still working the outside and hasn't quite been able to get the job done. But Siefker is not holding back, and neither is Butch Davis. Meanwhile, Chad Simpson back there in third, he's also not holding back. There's no way you could conserve fuel to get to the end and be that close to the leaders. So we're watching a fight for the win. We're watching a battle. This is all out here. And when it comes down, I think Siefker might have a run here. He looks to the inside. Siefker down low. Butch Davis up top. Is Davis going to try to hold on to it? Davis backs off just a little bit and tucks in behind Siefker, and Nate Siefker has come up from 17th to lead the race, just like he said he would.
Amazing.
Such a cocky way, right?
Amazing. Siefker, Davis, Simpson, the top three for the championship. Now the top three on the racetrack. Siefker, after a penalty, being pushed back to 17th. By the way, to answer your question, Tony Case, there's a battle for the championship tonight. That's the reason. That's the reason we're talking about the top three up in the front. Mason, it's for a championship. It's also for the finale tonight in Texas.
And after Nate Siefker, again, I know we touched on this at the beginning of the broadcast, Nate Siefker did not attend the race at Indy 500, which we saw both Chad Simpson and Butch Davis take that second and third place spot on the podium for FBR Motorsports. They were able to push themselves up into first and second place for the championship respectively. So for Nate Siefker, it is absolutely crucial that he comes away with a win. If I'm understanding the point systems here correctly, there might be an exception there that he might be able to come away with the second or third. Either way, either how, folks, this is championship night. Drivers are giving it 110%, everything that they possibly can. They're putting it on the table here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And right now, Nate Siefker, after falling all the way to the tail end of the field at the very early stages of this race, before lap 10 even came out, Siefker absolutely showing his dominance here tonight in the SRE IR-18 series.
Look at Siefker going all the way down to the inside. That was
like we're
Lyle
back at
Swearingen,
Indy again.
incidentally. That was Lyle Swearingen. He was hoping to get a little bit of a draft from Swearingen, but Swearingen off the pace. We saw him hit the wall. Obviously came into the pits, and they've made repairs that were sufficient to get him back out there, but he's obviously not at speed. But Swearingen didn't give him any of a draft. He just wanted to get the heck out of the way of the leaders, saw them coming. Nate wanted a little bit of a draft to try to get away from Butch as he goes down to the inside once again, trying to break that draft. Oh, I can't wait to see the next 20 laps, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting and fun to watch, gentlemen. It's lap 140 of 167 now as they flash across the finish line here. And and here's the thing, to answer Tony's question or Deborah's question or anybody that's questioning why we are only showing the top three, you've got these guys fighting for the championship as well as the race finish. And mind you, Mason, you want to try to show every car on the racetrack that you can. And in your defense, you've actually tried to show on boards and other races of position going on. But as it gets down to the home stretch at 26 laps to go, you got to look at the big picture, and that's that battle. Those three drivers of Davis, Simpson, and Siefker. Right now, Siefker leading, Davis second, Simpson third, and they're racing for the championship also. 25 at the line.
They've really earned the coverage. I mean, these guys have run at the front of the field the whole season long, and it really comes down to the last race here. Only separated by 24 points, but Butch and his teammate Chad only separated by 7. So Chad could come around, pick up the win. Maybe Chad could win the championship. You know, it's not a done deal for Butch, because if Chad wins the race, Butch finishes a couple of spots behind him, Chad could win the championship. So this is not over by a long shot.
Not even close. And this is why we're here, folks. This is the exact kind of action that we're looking to see here when we come to cover these races. This is kind of a rarity, if you will, almost, with the close battle that we have here for the championship. It's almost rare that we have a three-way battle for the lead as Butch Davis, Nate Siefker take it almost wheel to wheel, heading into turn 1 and out of turn 2. They separate, heading down the back straightaway. Butch Davis going to fall back just about a quarter of a second behind the number 2 of Nate Siefker. Folks, this battle here between these drivers is absolutely incredible, and with only 23 laps left to go,
here he comes again.
Here he comes. Makes a move. Siefker on the inside. Butch Davis on the outside now. He'll clear by Simpson. He'll make a run back to the lead. The man in P1 in the points, Rick Ravon, now trying to go back to P1 in the finish at Texas in 3.
Side by side all the way through 1 and 2. Butch on the outside. You would think that would be a little bit of a disadvantage because all the grip is down low, but somehow Butch made it work, as now he slides down to the inside of Nate Siefker. Going into turn 1, this time Butch will easily clear him, and now Butch has all of that grip on the lower side as Nate Siefker tries to run it up top. Butch has a couple of slower cars, just in front of him. That would be Bentley Glazer. Glazer drops down to the inside, though. Paul Krumrye is also up there. Butch easily comes around Glazer. What's going to happen with the traffic? Are they going to catch traffic? Will traffic be a factor here? As Nate Siefker once again puts it on the outside of Davis, looking for the lead. This is why we're covering this race. This is why we're covering the front of the field, because this is where the action has been. And we're coming down to it here, guys. We only have 20 laps to go.
20 laps left to go. The action is only getting spicier here as we continue on. We're looking at Butch Davis, Nate Siefker battling it out up front as we're looking at the rest of our field here on the right-hand side of our screen as we're still continuing on. 19 laps left to go here now as the leaders work their way down the back straightaway. Folks, this is it. This is where it all comes down. This is where you got to put everything you got and get.
Hey, Mason, Rick, when do you pit? When do you pit? Remember that we were talking about them pushing their cars to their full potential. When do you pit? 15 to go?
No.
10 to go? When do you go?
I would probably say the way these guys are running, 5 to 7 laps to go. That's when they're going to pit.
Wow. And you got to have a flawless pit stop, might I add.
Oh, yeah. It might come down for the race win. It might come down to who gets in and out of the pits quickest. Might somebody decide to maybe not take tires and just get a splash? Nate Siefker's coming in early. He's coming in right now. I know what his plan is now.
Wow.
He's going for the undercut. He's going for the undercut. He wants to come out on fresh tires and have a big lead on Davis, knowing that Davis also has to pit. But Davis, now I expect to see Davis, knowing that Nate Siefker just came into the pits. Davis is probably going to come in just like I did last week at Indianapolis to cover that move.
Yeah, he's going to probably
Davis is
the next
staying out.
lap. No, he doesn't. Wow.
Davis
and
is
Simpson
staying
doesn't
out.
go in, and then Simpson doesn't pit either.
So maybe could they possibly dial the fuel back and make it to the end from this point? I don't know. I really don't think so. As hard as they were running earlier, I don't think they could make 45 laps.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way possible. What do you think, Mason
They've
Heimbach?
proven me wrong before, though, Mason.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. These guys are always very unpredictable. With their pit strategies, it's always they always have something to kind of throw out there as kind of a curveball, if you will. So for Nate Siefker to come down here with 15 laps left to go, he might know something that we don't up here in the booth. He might be thinking to himself, we're going to run out of fuel here before we cross that checkered line. He needs to top off.
On it. He's absolutely counting on it, Mason, because he, like you said, Nate would know better than we do. He's in the car. He knows just how fast they're going, how hard they're pushing it. Maybe he feels that Butch and Chad cannot make it to the end, that there's no way, no matter how much they conserve, that they can't make it to the end. And guess what? Nate Siefker right now is on fresh tires, and Butch and Chad are on the older tires, so they're losing a ton of time. If they do have to come into the pits, Nate Siefker is going to be gone.
Yeah, right now, Siefker sitting all the way in 9th place right now with 13 laps left to go. It's a big question mark here for the rest of the field as we have a few other drivers making their way down into the pits. Carl Burke, Chris Walker making their way down here into pit road here with 13 laps left to go. Now, looking at our top 5, guys, I'm very curious to see, are they going to stay all the way until the very end, or are we going to see them make their way down into the pits here before the end of the race?
I honestly think that if they planned on pitting, the leaders, that is, Davis and Simpson, if they planned on pitting, they would have done it by now, because they know that by staying out on those old tires, Nate's on fresh tires right now, and he's just running laps, blazing fast laps, much faster than what they're running right now. So if they had to come into the pits, they would have done so by now. So I'm starting to think that they can make it to the end.
Oh man, this is exciting. This is the reason why, and again, this is the reason why we're following these drivers that are in the top 3, and now actually in the top 7, because now you've got Bogan and Brazenton and Roulette, Fletcher, now separating things here in the scoring pylon.
10 laps to go.
10 to go. You're exactly right, and they've not pitted yet. You got to think. 7, what was you thinking, Rick Ravon? 7, 8 laps to go?
7 laps to go. 5 or 7 is what I was thinking.
And
but
pulling the strings there is Siefker, if he can pull it off. I just don't know.
I can't imagine they were conserving fuel while they were fighting so hard for the lead, but maybe that's what they were doing. It's hard to imagine because guys like Jeff Bogan, Bracington, Roulette, Fletcher, all behind them, should have fairly easily run them down if they were in map 1 and going full bore, but that didn't happen. So you would have to assume that they were running, you know, they were going as fast as they could because nobody was really catching them.
Well, Mason, this is what we talked about last week at the big Indy race. And all throughout the evening tonight, it's lived up to its billing. You've got some new characters in the top 5 like Bogan, Brazenton, Roulette, and more. Fletcher. Hello, let's mention the other names. Don't want anybody to feel like we're leaving anybody out. But look at this. Here we go.
Butch is coming in.
Pitting.
No.
He's pitting. No,
he's not. It's a fake.
He ran out of fuel.
Whoa.
Oh my
Did he
goodness,
run out
what
of
happened?
fuel?
Oh, he's on the grass. What?
He's
in the
out of
world?
fuel. He's out of
Did he
fuel,
run out of
guys.
fuel?
He's out of fuel.
Oh,
He's picking
no.
up the pace again. He's up to 190
he's
miles an
siphoning
hour.
fuel. I think he's
Butch
siphoning
Davis is
fuel.
he's going to lose this race. Chad Simpson might win it. I don't know if Chad has to pit. Yes, Chad is coming in, but
he's got a
he
pit.
stayed out a long time and he lost a lot of ground to Nate Siefker on those fresh tires. Nate Siefker is going to have a big advantage now as he's going to be on the old tires, but he's only got 6 laps to try to run him down, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Hey, everybody else is pitting, though. Everyone else is pitting. Siefker's going to go to the lead there, Rick.
Yep, that's what I said would happen if they had to pit, which I thought they did. Sure enough, with 5 laps to go, they're pitting, and Nate Siefker, who was brilliant coming in early, I thought for sure Butch Davis would come in the lap after to cover him so that Nate would not be able to build a gap on those fresh tires.
Are you serious, Mason Hamba? The number 3 seed is now becoming the number 1 seed in the race with 5 laps to go, and he could possibly win the championship.
Siefker with an incredible strategy here tonight, and like we just mentioned a little bit ago, Siefker he probably saw something that we just didn't up here in the booth. He
knew they had to pit.
Yeah,
he knew they had to pit because of the rate of speed that they were traveling. You know, as hard as they were racing, Nate knew, he guaranteed, okay, Butch and Chad are going to have to come in. If I come in early and I go out, I got fresh tires, I'm going to be running faster laps than they are. Now, like I said, I don't understand why Butch didn't come in earlier to cover that move by Nate. That would have been, you know, the thing to do, because you don't want Nate Siefker to run out there on fresh tires and run those fast laps while you're struggling out there on old tires running slow laps. And if you don't get another yellow, Nate's just going to come around and take the lead and take the win. But
hey,
again, you think bigger picture, bigger picture.
Yes,
bigger picture.
Rick,
you're going for the
Rick
championship.
And Rick, speaking of the bigger picture, and that's what I was going to say, buddy, with Siefker leading, Davis falls all the way back to 6th. Simpson is now in 2nd. He was 4 points behind Davis coming into the finale. Has he got enough points and be in the position he's at to win this championship?
That's a good point. He was only 7 behind. Chad Simpson is in the catbird seat right now. He's got to be more than 7 points in front of Butch right now, but he's trying to run down Nate Siefker at the same time. Still wants to win this race. Only 3 seconds behind Nate Siefker. Now, you have to remember, Nate is on older tires. Chad, unless he pitted and didn't take tires, which I don't think would make much sense.
I just think he got fuel. I just think he got fuel. I really do.
Well, if that's the case, then there's no way he's going to be able to run Nate down. I don't know why he would do that.
It doesn't matter. The race
yellow flag.
Like,
We've got a
caution. Now, guys, do they finish under yellow flag or do they go to overtime in the series? I know
there is no overtime. There's no overtime. The race is over. Nate Siefker is going to win the race, and I think Chad Simpson is going to win the championship. Oh my goodness!
I think you're right. Siefker is going to win the battle, and Simpson is going to win the war because he had a 7-point lead over Butch Davis. Butch Davis is right now in the number 6 position. Mason Heimbaugh, what a dramatic finish here. Even though the yellow flag is out, this race is going to end. Nate Siefker on a penalty comes back through the field, and Simpson, I believe, by virtue of being P2, is going to win the championship unofficially.
I'm looking at the points from the first race of the season, and it looks like between second place and sixth place is 9 points. Chad Simpson is 7 points behind. Now you have to also keep in mind there are bonus points here. Butch Davis missed a bonus point by missing the pole position by 0.003 of a second, so he did not get that bonus point. However, he may have gotten a bonus point for leading the most laps. We don't know that yet, but still, that would close the gap to 8 points. We're going to have to wait and see what happens because this is as close as it could possibly be. But Chad Simpson may have just stolen the championship by over his teammate by just 1 point.
My goodness, Rick Ravon, this literally, as we've got the reason for the caution flag right there on the big screen here for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha IndyCar Series finale presented by ESNC. And Rick, obviously, not only is it a matter of positions, it's now a matter of mere points to decide. Special bonus points, might I add, also to be added to determine the scoring pylon of who's going to be the champion and not. We got to stick with this thing here because obviously we don't want to give out hashtag fake news. We want to make sure we have the correct information of who's going to lock up the championship. But one thing we know, Nate Siefker has picked up his 7th win this year, the all-time winner this season in the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, IndyCar Series, and what a way to come back and get it done, Rick.
Well, I'm waiting for Chris Walker to update the points.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
I'm going to be hitting my refresh button over and 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 over, just waiting to see who actually won this championship because it's really close. I don't know how the bonus points are going to shake out, if there's any penalty. I don't think that either Butch or Chad had any penalty points, but I just can't wait to see the end result here.
Absolutely. As we have our post-race results here, Nate Siefker going to be taking home the win here with Chad Simpson in second, Chris Walker in third, Jeffrey Boggin in fourth, Carl Burke in fifth, Butch Davis in sixth, Jeffrey Rolla in seventh, Yari Brupatcher in eighth, Mark McFadden in ninth, and Ernie Ludwig in 10th place here as we go ahead and get ourselves ready for our post-race interviews.
Yeah, let's grab Nate right now. He's got to be elated, and he's probably going to be as cocky as always. Nate Siefker, Rick Ravon here in the booth. I cannot believe what I just saw. That was an amazing strategy coming in early. You had to think that once you came into the pits looking for the undercut, that Butch would see that and probably follow you in. But not only did he not do that, but when he did go to pit, he missed his pit stall. He didn't miss the stall. He missed the pits, period. You've just got to be elated right now.
I don't know how elated I am yet. I haven't been told what the final standings are. Of course, but talk about the race first. Yeah, I told you guys I was going to come back. And, yeah, that was
amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, it was pretty fun driving through the field. Oh, it was an awesome battle all night, and
you had to be. You were just in a zone. I mean, did you feel like you were in the zone?
I was pretty focused. I'm not gonna lie. It was a whole focus, 100%. No games. Just doing everything I could to, get to the front. Once, after that, the BOL. I don't think I really had a misstep all night. So, that's a positive. I don't know if it really. We did the maximum.
Nate, I've got word. It looks like I just refreshed, and
the final standings are up.
Apparently, they have updated everything, and this includes the last 2 drop weeks. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going to be a little disappointed to hear this, but
I'm going to be really upset.
You are. It looks like you're on the top there. You're the champion. You are the champion. Well, you got 410 points. Chad Simpson also 410 points.
I got a tiebreaker.
There's a tie
it's by
there.
the virtue of the most wins, guys. The virtue of most wins would probably determine who gets the championship right there.
Is that how it's determined? Because if that's the case, then you've got back-to-back championship. Not back-to-back. Chad was the defending champion here, but you've got another championship here.
That's all I wish you guys could see my face. I am actually. What? Are you serious?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Well, let me be the first one to say congratulations. You pulled it off.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. That's incredible.
I've never heard Nate at a loss of words. Never.
That's actually, wow, that is incredible. I'm not gonna lie, that is fantastic. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that's the closest margin of victory in a championship I've ever had by a mile. Wow, that's actually incredible. I can't believe that.
I got to point out that Butch Davis was only 4 points behind both of you. Had he not made that mistake coming into the pits, chances are he would have finished second or third, and he would have been the champion.
Hey, Rick, but Rick, by the way, I just want to let everyone know right now, it is still unofficial, Nate. You have to wait in I guess the word is, infamy right now, just to basically see if it's official yet. They're basically determining how the strategy would be with a tiebreaker. I would think, like other series does, Rick and Mason, that you would All right, I think we got Chris Walker now. Chris, have you determined how you would break the tiebreaker if there's a tie for a championship?
The tiebreaker for the championship would end up being the amount of wins each driver
There
has.
you go. Okay, so I was right, Rick. So obviously it's now official. Nate, you can now take a sigh of relief. You have the most wins of anybody at 7, and you are now officially the champion.
Well, hold on. Before we say that, Chris Walker, quick question for you, because we obviously just updated the points. The drop weeks were included. I mean, is everything what we're looking at right now on the screen, is that the way it is?
Yeah, we've got 2 drop weeks, and those are both included in the points.
So they're included in the points. Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson, they both have 410 points. They're dead even. On virtue of most victories, which would be Nate, Nate is officially the champion.
I'm still at a loss for words. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Wow.
Okay, well, there you have it from Chris Walker. Nate, you're officially the champion. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
This would be your 3rd SRE championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. Yeah, it would be the 3rd. Wow, that's incredible.
Nate, this has to be a kind of way for Mason and Rick and I, a race of redemption for you, because you made contact with a car around 40 laps in the race. You didn't crash, but the Samar did. But the race director penalized you, and he quickly said, I'm not worried about Nate Siefker. I know he'll come back through the field. And I said, I think you're on a vengeance now. You're on a mission. Was the mission to win the race, or was the mission to try to sweep the whole thing like you've done to win the championship also?
Honestly, when that penalty came, the goal was to get where I was. I really didn't think the championship was there. I'm being 100% honest with you. The gap was 20-odd points. 20-odd points is a lot.
And that's what we saw, and that's what I called all during the race. I said, if Nate wins the race, Butch and Chad are going to have to finish outside of the top 15 based on the fact that you were 24 points down going into this final championship race.
I don't know. I mean, that's... Regardless, it's incredible. I mean, thank you. I'll just go ahead and start saying my thank yous, because that's all I can think of at the moment. I'm going to say thank you to every single one of these guys who came out tonight. I want to thank Chad and Butch for this. I've never seen a championship come down to the 4 points between the top 3. I've never seen it. And that just shows how tight the top is here. So thank you to those two for an incredible championship fight. That really was awesome to have. Thank you guys for being up here. Thank my sponsors, Midquist Kidney Warriors, for coming out. And then thank you to this league admin staff as well. We do put a lot of work in to make this as good as possible. And I'm at a loss for words. I really did not think this was gonna happen at the beginning of the night, really. So
neither did we. We thought that, you had a shot at the win, but then you went back to the back of the field. We thought, well, it's going to be very, very difficult, but you pulled off the win. We didn't think you had a shot at the championship as long as Butch and Chad finished up there in the top 3, top 5, even top 10. But somehow, some way, it worked out for you, and congratulations, man. Hell of a job, hell of a season, and I'm glad that I was here to witness it. Great job, man.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mason. Thank you guys, all of you guys.
All right, that's Nate Siefker, everybody. Let's go to Chad Simpson, your second place finisher right now. Chad Simpson, Rick Ravon here up in the booth. I just wanted to tell you congratulations on a fine season. And what were you thinking as far as the points were concerned going in? Because Nate was 24 points back. Did you think that, well, it obviously would come down to you and Butch. Were you really fighting hard for this championship, or were you just kind of like, well, whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, well, we knew what the situation was with 2 drops, and we knew that it was close. So basically, we were going into the race with the mindset of win the race and win the championship. Nate pulled off the win, and I tried to make a strategy call there at the end. No tires again, just like last week, and I got stuck behind McFadden on the pit exit and lost a whole lot of time there. So I just see Nate go sailing by while I'm at half throttle, and my heart was breaking right there.
That's got to be frustrating, Chad, because one of the things that Rick and Mason and myself said in the broadcast was when you had those late race pit stops, you got to be flawless. You cannot make any mistakes. Do you feel like that mistake error cost you the championship?
No, that wasn't really my mistake. That was just bad timing. Butch's mistake was a mistake. He thought that he heard someone call out yellow and didn't pit. And
well, let me ask you this, Chad. The choice, the decision to not change tires, do you think that may have bit you? Do you think you could have been able to run Nate down on those fresh tires?
No.
So it didn't make a difference?
No. If I had taken tires, I probably would have been 3 seconds behind him, 2-3 seconds behind him, so I wouldn't have had a tow anyway.
I think that was pretty close to the finishing distance, but you had a heck of a season. I'd like to say hello to the Chad Simpson fan club out there, his family and friends. They're probably all watching right now. Why don't you go ahead and give your thanks and your shout outs, buddy?
Yeah, thanks to Satellite Racing, FBM Motorsports, Muradness, Ellis Engineering, everybody that's out there watching, ESNC, a good sponsor. Hopefully we can see them come back on board. You guys do a good job with this broadcast, and it'd be nice to see you come back next year too. This a good job by everybody in the league. It was a pretty good season, and especially coming down to the end, losing a tiebreaker to someone that won 7 races when I have 1 win kind of shows consistency.
Oh yeah,
consistently second place. So I don't really have anything to hang my head on for this season, but
I love it. I love it.
The definition of consistency is definitely Chad Simpson in a race car. There's no question about that. Chad, thank you so much for letting us speak with you. Congratulations again on a fine season, and we're looking forward to seeing you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you next season. I don't know when it is, but we'll see you next season.
Okay. Let's go to Chris Walker right now. Chris, I got to say, before we even get started, it's been a long time since I've seen you up here on the podium. What a fantastic day for you. Tell us about your day.
Thanks, man. It was definitely a very, very long time since I've been on a podium. I set a goal just to finish the race, maybe top 10 would be cool. And got down a pretty iffy qualifying time, and didn't really have too much to work from for there, and just wanted to make smart passes along the way, make good pit stops, and I felt I made some pretty decent pit stops. I had about maybe 3 or 4 Code Brown moments coming out of turn 2, and luckily I saved them. I have no idea how that happened, but I had saved them and was banking on a real good pit stop for my final money stop. And I really didn't have a great entry, so I was kind of bummed out about that. Had a real great exit, except I almost looped it coming out, and I was able to collect it and then build up some momentum. And I saw Bogan come by just coming out of the pits, and I thought, well, since he pitted after I did, then his fresh tires are gonna beat my 3-lap old tires. And made quick work of him, and I'm not sure what happened to him, but got by him and started gapping him with about 4 to go. And Nate came over the comms and said that I made the podium. I was Jesus, I was beside myself. I was just
We were
expecting
very happy for
maybe
you.
finish top 5. You know, at one point I was like, man, I'm top 10. I'm cool. But man, that was best night of the season so far. Finishing the season, capping it off with a podium.
Hey,
Well,
Chris, with you doing what you do, not only racing, sorry, Rick, but running for the race for the championship, what can you say about these 3 men? I know, obviously, I think there's a little people that are, I don't want to say the word butthurt, but feel like that maybe the broadcasters didn't do their due diligence of trying to cover everybody through the field. But at the end of the day, this was the final race, and this was the race for the championship. And you've got 3 great contenders in Nate Seifker, Butch Davis, and Chad Simpson's fighting for a title. This race came down to a tie by virtue of the most wins and the dominator all this season for season 4. Nate Seifker did it to win the race. He did it after being penalized on a penalty on the racetrack. Obviously, this has got to be a great way to end the season and set the tone for season 5 whenever it fires back up again. Your thoughts as being the man that kind of helps run the operations here in the series, not only as a driver.
Well, it was a good championship the whole way throughout the season. You know, Nate being an excellent driver, Butch being absolutely fantastic. Chad Simpson is just a machine behind the wheel of that car. To listen to him sell himself short with consistently finishing second, you know, you don't want to shortchange yourself there, Chad. I mean, you're an excellent driver. You're going up against the best with Butch and Nate. The season, the way it played out from just an admin standpoint, made it super exciting for EastandC.com, our sponsors, to watch and to blog about, along with everybody else that are members over there. You know, having Nate get sent to the back, you know, it kind of made it interesting. You know, as interesting as the race was, with the 3 of them sitting 1, 2, and 3 at the beginning of the race, you know, it's really kind of how you wanted the whole season to shake out at the end. It all came down to that battle between the 3. You know, what was Butch going to do if he won the race, and where would Nate be, and where would Chad be, and what happened if you threw another 4th car in the mix? You know, it's no mistake that you guys focused the majority of the race, because it came down to the culmination of what happened to each one of those 3 drivers at the finish. So, you know, by not covering, you know, 100% of the field, you know, it's almost expected when there's so much excitement and so much at stake here with the coverage between the top 3 cars, and to watch Nate come from the back. You know, the whole season played out exactly like it should have, to make it exciting for everybody watching. And I think you guys did a absolutely bang up job throughout the whole season in making that possible.
Well, thanks so much for that compliment, Chris. We enjoyed covering. Believe me, it's very easy to have something to say when there's a lot going on, and there certainly was a lot going on this entire season here at the SRE. Why don't you take this time and take the floor and just thank the people that you want to thank?
Yeah, on behalf of Sim Racers Edge, I want to thank everybody, all the drivers that came out to make this season possible. You know, we've gone through some teething seasons, and I think this season was by far our best season. You know, the racing and the quality of racing throughout the whole field was absolutely on par with what our expectations were from each and every one of you drivers that come out and help support us. You know, and as for our sponsors go, you know, EastandC.com is critical with their support for Sim Racers Edge and the motorsport community inside of EastandC.com. The Need for Speed channel, and, you know, Sim Motion for coming on board. Cast iron, called outdoor cast iron cooking, for coming on board for a few select races with us. You know, the support that they gave us, you know, none of this would be possible. You guys wouldn't be broadcasting our races. Drivers wouldn't know about us. So it all comes down to their support and how critical it is to make our weekdays better and to give us something to do. And, you know, on the personal note, I want to thank every driver from Voodoo. I want to thank Mike Grandy for coming out. I want to thank Jack for being a part of our team. I want to thank Nate for being a part of us. I want to congratulate Nate on just a hard-fought championship, man. Good job, brother. I'm proud of you, and proud of the way you handled yourself coming through the field tonight. Chad Simpson, runner-up. you know, you guys did an awesome job. Same with Butch, man. You guys made this race exciting, made this all possible for us to have a lot of fun tonight. You know, and I want to thank, you know, the rest of my sponsors. And well, I don't have any sponsors. I do have a place that I want to give a shout out to for Michigan Greenhouse in Walled Lake, Michigan. It's the best source for local cannabis that you can get in the state of Michigan. They're a local company and they're not a big corporation like the majority of the places here are.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks very much. That was a heck of a podium finish, and one heck of a speech there at the end with all those thanks. You certainly have a lot of people to thank, and I think you probably got them all in. Great job tonight. We'll look forward to seeing what you do next season.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, man.
All right. Chris Walker, everybody. And last but not least, we had to, I requested that Butch would join us for an interview because of the circumstances. Butch, you had the championship won, basically. And I guess it really came down to that last pit stop. Two questions I want to ask you. Number one, when you saw Nate pitting, did you know that he was going for the undercut? And if so, why didn't you come in earlier to cover him? And then, of course, number two, we'll talk about you know, the fact that you did miss the pits and that cost you the championship.
No, I didn't need to. I didn't need to worry about his undercut. Him winning the race. If I didn't screw up my pit stop, he could have won the race, and I still would have won the championship.
Yeah.
So yeah, that never really crossed my mind, truthfully. Being completely honest, the way I got raced when he was around me, I didn't want to be around him coming to the end. Wasn't exactly pleased with the way he raced me when he got up there. Saw what happened between him and Samard earlier in the race, and I wanted no part of that. My goal was to finish the race tonight. Whether I won the championship or I didn't win the championship, the goal is always to finish the race. And I just, it's just, I don't know.
But you definitely sound like you're very dejected and upset. But mind you, you guys are running for a championship. Can you elaborate more on what you think Nate Seifker did? Do you think like he might have pushed it over the edge a little bit too much, that might have made you fear that if he got around you, or mind you, when he did get around you in the late rally, did that kind of make you maybe back away or clear away from him because you thought that maybe he would, I don't want to say this in a disrespectful term, but I got to call a spade, maybe wreck you to try to win the race?
I don't think Nate would intentionally try to take me out or anything like that. You know, don't mistake, you know, my words for that. But I know how aggressive.
So
Nate
you're just
is.
saying it was too much aggression going on, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you know, with the incident with Samard, I mean, we weren't even 20 laps into the race. You know, just not it's not a risk that I was willing to take. You know, there was a couple times during the race where I gave up more than a second just trying to tiptoe around lap drivers and take my time. I didn't want to rush myself. I didn't want to rush them. Again, it was all about, you know, making it to the end of the race. And if the driver of the 43 wasn't an idiot, you know, we wouldn't be talking about finishing third in the championship. We wouldn't be talking about, you know, a screwed up pit stop, etc. So, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I have nobody to blame but myself. And that's just the truth.
Well, I got to talk about that last battle between you and Nate for the lead. We didn't know if anybody was conserving fuel or who was going to go for it. Would it come down to a late race stop? But the battle was really intense. You had the lead. You had about a second on him. He reeled you in. And then you were side by side for a while, really fighting it out with him. Then he finally got the lead on you. You dropped back to about a half a second. Then you came back up to him and fought him for the lead again. I mean, that was just, it was incredible to watch. I guess at that point, you just decided to back off. But going into this race, I do want to mention Nate was, from what we saw, 24 points behind going in. So the drop weeks hadn't occurred until after the race. Is that when they finally figured it in? Because if Nate won the race, according to the points, the way they were going in from what we saw, the current points, you and Chad would have to basically fall out of the race, finish 15th or worse in order for Nate to pull off a championship. But yet, still with a 24-point gap going into the final race. Did the drop weeks come in to play in the last race of the season? Is that how that worked?
Oh, yeah. So the drop weeks were the second drop week was supposed to take effect after Indianapolis 500. There was some miscommunication with Chris. Obviously, kind of got busy with things. I mean, it is what it is. I think everybody's kind of keeping tabs on that anyway. Basically, with the 2 drop weeks, Nate only lost 5 points. Chad and I both lost 40. So there was like a 35-point swing with the 2 drop weeks. So yeah, I mean, if we were going off of last season's structure where we only had 1 drop week, the championship pretty much would have just been between me and Chad going into tonight. But we instituted the second one, and it's all fair game. It is what it is. But yeah, that second week should have taken effect after the Indy 500.
Yeah, I apologize for that. We were calling it as if Nate had to win and you guys basically had to fall out. We were calling it that way because that's what we saw the points were going into this race, so I apologize for that. I wish I knew it was closer than it was. But I got to tell you, Butch, I did predict that you would win the championship from the beginning of the season.
Thanks for the jinx.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jinx you. I was trying to give you a little encouragement there, but hey, I hope that wasn't a jinx. But I still believe that you have a championship in your future, so you should hang your head high. You had a hell of a great season, especially considering the condition that your body is in after the motorcycle accident. We know that you struggled through each and every one of these races, and you should not hold your head down. You should hold your head high and say, you did a hell of a job. You had a great season, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Made it a little bit more difficult with the recent onset of Bell's palsy and, running the last half, not half, I'd say maybe third of that race. Not really having clear vision. Again, I'm just glad I finished. Could have done without the pit stop mistake, but it is what it is. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, Butch. We'll see you next season. Congratulations on a great season, buddy.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Butch Davis, everybody.
Well, Mason, I know you had to run the boards, and I know there's been some technical difficulties, little gremlins throughout the night, but my goodness. When I listen to these 4 or 5 drivers that we just spoke to, it's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. I think that's the best way to sum up, Mason and Rick, how these guys feel right now. Some people are elated, and some others are just like, man, I can't believe I've done what I needed to do to win the championship. And then there's others that are just, man, if I wouldn't have made that mistake, if I would have pitted this time instead of the following lap, things might have changed up different. Mason, your take on that, bud?
Well, it was an incredible season that we saw here for the Sim Racers Edge, and I mean, for Butch Davis, tough way to end off your season. I mean, a simple mistake is all it takes. I mean, we've said that multiple broadcasts throughout the season that, pit road can be one spot where things can really screw up your chance at a championship. And I mean, Butch Davis has had an extremely strong run here throughout the season, but Nate Siefker, ultimately coming away with the win. It was a tough battle between all 3 of these drivers, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson.
It's like Leslie said. He said it perfect. It was the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Today, it's the thrill of victory for Nate Siefker. He wins the race, and he wins the championship, somehow pulled that off. And without a doubt, the agony of defeat goes to Butch Davis, who really had this thing wrapped up. He had the championship and the race win wrapped up. But thinking bigger picture, he decided to fall behind Nate, and then making that mistake in the pits, he's going to be kicking himself for quite some time. Agony of defeat award definitely goes to Davis. I feel really bad for him, but it was a great season. It was a heck of a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait for season number 5, guys.
Hey, can I say something else? I want to say thank you to the fans, Mason and Rick, that watched it. Obviously, we do these broadcasts for them. We had some technical problems tonight, and I think that might have caused some errors along the way. I think that's one reason why Mason kind of had to back away from calling the race a lot because of working on technical things. But and there were some bells and whistles and technical things that we were having that caused a problem with the scoring ticker or with the scoring cameras. But I want to say this to the audience. when you go into these broadcasts, especially Rick Ravon, as somebody that does this as a veteran broadcaster, 26 years, reality or virtual, okay? You know the storyline going into tonight. We knew the storyline after Indianapolis last week. We knew that there were going to be these 3 drivers that were going to be racing for a championship. We're not taking anything away from any of these other guys that are racing on the racetrack. But you got to keep an eye on the run for the championship. And to be honest with you, in hindsight, the best races of the night were these drivers like Nate Siefker rallying through the field on a race penalty to come to the front, and then the racing for the win to go along with the race for a championship. So I got to say, Mason, props to you. Rick, I think we all did a phenomenal job, to each their own. I guess opinions vary. But
Not
you
according to
can't
Tony
take
Keese.
you can't take anything away. You can't take anything away of not condoning or promoting these 3 drivers, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Nate Siefker. They deserved it along the way. And look at what happened. A guy that looked like we thought was going to be a long shot, number 3 seed, comes 24 points behind and wins the damn championship. If there's anybody that says you can't do something, whether it's virtual reality, if you've got a dream out there and you want to achieve it, you just play your cards right, be in the right place at the right time, and you can definitely get it done. And I listen, I've enjoyed being with you guys the last couple of weeks. And Mason, I know we hyped it up at Indianapolis. Rick, I enjoyed working with you. Thanks for the invitation to be here tonight. This literally lived to the hype of what we saw come to the end. It was a fun series.
An incredible end to the season here tonight. Folks, I want to thank each and every single one of you that has tuned in week after week since the start of our coverage here with the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series for season number 4. For myself, Rick Ravon, and Wesley Outland, I want to thank you all again for tuning in and watching. If you all enjoyed the action here tonight, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And folks, we hope to see you again next year for season 5 of the SRE IR-18
When does it start?
series.
When does it start, Mason? When does it fire back up, Rick?
I'm
Come
not- I
on,
don't-
guys.
I don't
Tell us
know yet.
something.
I'm going to say probably in September. They're going to take a break for the
so
summer.
I was
Maybe in
looking
late
at the
August.
schedule. I was looking at the schedule, Mason and Rick, and I know you got to get off the air, Mason, but it looked like they start in like January and they end like they're ending now, and then they come back up and fire up around end of July, beginning of August, and they have like a fall summer series, if you will.
Well, we'll have something to look forward to, hopefully, folks. We'll have to get things all squared away and make sure that we indeed will be covering the next season here with Sim Racers Edge. I certainly hope to be back up here in the booth covering the action here once again. Guys, thank you for joining me here in the booth, and thank you for everyone that has tuned in and watched here tonight.
Thank
That
you,
is
Mason.
gonna
It's been great.
Thank you, Mason.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you both. And folks, on behalf of myself, Rick Ravon, Wesley Outland, for the very last time here for season number 4 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, brought to you by ecency.com. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.